Hey there, Sweet Tooth listeners. Ever dreamt of a caramel sauce so divine you want to write songs about it? Introducing Indulge Right Caramel Sauce, the caramel miracle that's just flipping the script on indulgence.
This isn't your grandma's caramel. It's the kind that makes you go, why did I ever worry about indulging? Perfect for pancakes, waffles, or even a cheeky drizzle on your fruit salad.
And the best part is, it actually tastes good. So good, you'll forget it's guilt-free.
So why settle for less when you can have the best of both worlds? With Indulge Right, you're not just choosing the healthier option, you're choosing happiness in a bottle.
Don't wait to elevate your dessert game. Grab a jar of Indulge Right caramel sauce today and turn every bite into a celebration. Because life's too short for boring caramel.
Visit indulgeright.com for purchasing and stocking options.
Hello, hello, hello. We are testing. I know you've been with me the last couple of times I've been on here, and the last time it really stunk. I know my internet was crap. So this time, my friend, the Silent K, who you'll meet in just a second here, she's with me, and we're testing out the internet again. So be gentle if our internet goes out. It's me. Don't blame her. But we've got some fun topics we're going to discuss, some things that we saw this week, some inspiration that we found, and then I just want to test our stuff and see if the connections are working. So let me bring her in here and see if this works. Hello, Silent K, are you with us?
I am. Can you still hear me?
I can, and it's clear. Yay. I love it when technology
Yay.
works. Holy mac and cheese, it's still working. So, all right. So I don't do big introductions. We can do a big to do at the end about who you are and where people can find you and all your greatness. I know you've got a big brand coming out soon you're going to launch, but I won't steal your thunder with that. But it does lead me into a topic I wanted to discuss because your brand is all about hippy-dippy fun stuff, like my friends call it. So I was inspired this week with an oil story. Do you want to talk about oils first?
I would love to.
Yeah. What's your background with essential oils? Have you used them forever?
I haven't used them forever. I got sick out of nowhere and had no idea what was going on. And I was going to a bunch of different doctors. Nobody could tell me what was going on. So at that point, I realized I needed to take my own health and my own lifestyle into my own hands instead of just sitting there eating a box of Ho-Hos. And I started eating better and started hearing things about essential oils and how they would help. And I would go on Pinterest and I would save all kinds of things about essential oils and herbs and different things and what you could use them for and what not to use them for. And I've been studying herbs and oils and to like either by themselves or together for about the past 12 years. I read anything I can get my hands on about oils.
Yeah. So you've been doing them for like 12 years. Now, do you, as they say, use them neat?
Well, you know how they have things called canning rebel groups? We should start an essential oil rebel group because I swear I'll be the ringleader. I do a lot of things that probably are not medically advised, but I'm not silly with it. I do it for my own personal use. I don't give it to kids. I don't give it to nobody else. But when I have my own pains and ailments and things and nothing else is working, it's great for a little bit of a headache relief or for this. And there's certain areas that I will use it neat, but there's certain areas that I won't. Like there's certain ones I'll use neat on my feet or on the back of my head when I start to get headaches. But there's quite a few of them that there's no way I would use neat because once again, I've been my own guinea pig and kind of learned my own mistakes by I read a little bit and some of them I learned in trial and error of, don't do that one again.
Yeah. Yeah, those are fun stories. And since this is a comedy podcast and not a medical advice podcast, we can discuss those things you should never ever do with oils. Holy cow.
Okay,
They
so
hurt, right?
if that's where you want to go with this, so I'm going to tell you a personal story of a don't do this.
Oh, yeah.
So when trying out certain oils, there are oils that are called hot oils. Like how peppermint is a cooling oil. When you put it on, you'll start to have a cooling effect. However, it's the opposite. It has a very intense heat to it. Ginger and cinnamon oils are two of those examples. I heard that cinnamon oil was really good for muscle aches. And so
no.
a friend of mine says, hey, I got a bottle of cinnamon oil. Let me try it on your back. I went, okay. So I lay down on the bed and I have my shirt pulled up over my head and she's rubbing this on and she tells me that she used a carrier oil.
Mm.
But if she did use a carrier oil, she apparently did not use enough of it because it started to become very painful. I had to try putting more oil on it to try to dilute it, and despite putting the more carrier oil on to try to dilute it, from my shoulders to probably about the top of my butt crack was like Sebastian the Crab, lobster red for like 2 days, 3 days before it finally started to go down. And I looked at that bottle and went, yep, that was one of those ones I probably should have read and probably should have done myself just to be on the safe side. Lesson learned, don't ever do that one again.
That wasn't me, was it?
No.
Oh, good.
That was not you.
So bad. You're like, yeah, by the way.
No, and even if it was, I still wouldn't say names and call anybody out like that because we all make mistakes. And I was the one who let it happen, so, I should have known better. But I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go.
Right. Let's go. That sounds good. I know that's good for pain. Heck,
my brain's like, oh my God, let's get some oils. Let's go.
Oils, they're natural.
They can't be bad for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big misunderstanding, right? Like, it's natural. It can't hurt you.
See, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Okay, it's not like you just made a tea out of this or you made it into a cream and put it on your body. When an essential oil is made, it is distilled. And when it is distilled, in order to make, I want to say it's either an ounce or a half ounce of rose essential oil actually requires 200 pounds of rose petals. So if just to get a rose essential oil, you have to have that much to be able to do it. Imagine how concentrated that is. In one drop, you have the equivalent of 100 rose petals. And people are wondering why they're using these oils and they're having a bad reaction. Because one, you didn't research what you were doing first. Or you made a silly mistake like I did. And two, some oils are really great. But a good thing goes a long way in moderation. You're not going to get a prescription from the doctor or go get a bottle of vitamins and go, oh, I'm going to use the whole bottle. So you're not going to use the whole bottle of this at once. And I have tried to forewarn people. I'm like, hey, look, I know you've got this going on. I will share this with you. It really helped me. And then they call me and go, what happened? I wait, what did you do? Oh, no. Okay, so not to bogart the story, but I have another one that I really have to get out there because I really don't want anyone to ever do this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Tell it.
Oregano oil is absolutely amazing for all kinds of things. So is basil oil. But I cannot emphasize enough that please, please, please do your research. Please at least read the back of the bottle that you are using. I had went to a health food store, and I had a cold going on, so I got some basil and some oregano oil. And the cashier looked at me and she says, "Oh, you're getting this?" I says, "Yeah, why?" She says, "I probably shouldn't tell you." I says, "No, go for it. What?" She says, "I think that bottle tried to kill me."
No.
I says, I'm sorry, what did you just say?" I says, "What did you do?" She says, "It burned my mouth and the back of my throat and tried to close off my throat." I went, "Oh my goodness, no, you didn't." She says, yeah. I says, "Okay, sweetie, I'm going to be as nice as I can about this. Do me a favor. Please don't ever tell anybody else that story." I says, "Because you're going to get somebody hurt that way. You need to read the back of the bottle, because on those oils specifically, it says not for internal consumption.
Oh my gosh.
For an actual reason." This lady told me she took a teaspoon of it and swallowed it. And I went,
Oh my
"How
god.
did you breathe?"
That was
Because
what bottle of oil?
it was oregano.
Oh my god.
Oregano, once again, is one of those hot oils that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And it does that. It causes these issues.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's really great with a carrier oil and topically, but there's just certain things that you do not do when it comes to oils. And not enough people investigate that before they actually do it. You don't just take a prescription or, once again, a bottle of vitamins and go, "Oh, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to take it and hope it helps."
Well, and even
You
if you
know?
take one of them, it is what it is. You took it on the back of the bottle's instructions. It's like when people just don't read the instructions and then blame it for not working. It's like, what the? Are you serious? Like for instance, I had this client of mine in California. You know, California, hippy dippy. They should be pretty smart out there, right? So I was thinking, oh, like this girl knows what's up, and she's a graphic designer. So she sees I do oils, and she's like, "I'm going to make you some graphics." Okay, thank you. So her immediate response is to do a graphic with a bottle of lemon oil, like she's pouring it in her mouth. And I was like, oh my God, you put my name on that. Like, don't show anybody that. Why the hell do you think that's okay? Like, oh no. Like I was floored that people thought that you could do that. And when I told her that, she was like, "Oh, I had no idea. I just thought I was helping." I'm sorry, you had no idea that was wrong? Like, have you ever used an essential oil before? Because if not, you probably, should not yet. You should talk to somebody first. It was so scary.
There are some people that actually believe in using essential oils medicinally.
Mm-hmm.
But they also understand the fact that they are highly, highly concentrated. And so not only is that itself concentrated, the taste of it is, and also the nutrient content of it and the vitamin content of it.
Yeah.
And my question is, did it not taste gross? Because
I know.
accidentally gotten a little bit on the corner of my mouth or on my finger and didn't realize it didn't touch my finger to my tongue and went, "Oh, I forgot to wash my hands after I made that. Ooh, I gotta go rinse my mouth with Listerine and figure some things out because this is not working for me. My eyes are all like watering and my mouth's puckering." It's the equivalent of having thousands of lemon peels. And I don't know about you, but lemons are sour enough. But that peel itself has the bitterness to it. But it also has large amounts of certain vitamins and things. And when you are not diluting it, especially if you are trying to take it internally, one, I don't suggest that. I'm not saying I haven't done it. I'm just saying that there's certain oils that you don't do that with. Because essential oils has become popular, kind of like, CBD oils and different things. And I'm like, you bought that where? You're selling it where? So I would not suggest putting in a capsule or in your mouth an essential oil that you bought at the dollar store or at the gas station. And just because you buy it online does not mean that it's always pure, because me studying herbs and oils for as many years as I have for my own benefit, I have by accident, thought I picked up an essential oil and then looked at it and went, oh, this is a fragrance oil. I can't use this for what I wanted. Never mind.
Right? Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I have so many friends, and that's the thing. So when we chatted about talking, before privately, we were going to talk about doing maybe like a Young Living or, or those who shall not be named. I don't know if we're allowed to drop names on this thing, but anyway, like company names, right? Like there's the big dogs. And I love them and everything, but that was something I ran into was before do you remember when they went to court and they said that, it was something about how like Young Living was pure because they didn't have an expiration date on the bottle, but the other one was not because they did and all this stuff. And so people were touting all this advice about Young Living, do it for everything, you can do it. And so everybody had been saying, like use it internally, do it this. And I'm not saying I was and I'm not saying I wasn't, but I'm saying I was having great success with things I was doing. And it was hilarious to me that there were so many people that were saying not to. And then I realized after more research that there's a whole educational distinction of people that just believe you should never ingest any essential oils, like at all. And I was floored. I was like, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm so confused. And that sparked my interest in like, how come people think so differently about this essential oils thing, right? And it was really interesting. And then what I found was that, so when that happened, I was a downline participant. I had a big page. I had like thousands of followers. People were, it was before you had to not say words you shouldn't have anyway, but it wasn't a big deal. And then they started cracking down and they were like, they sent out an email to everybody who was in their, program. And they were like, if you've got any of these words, if you're saying any of these things, you have to take all your stuff down, blah, blah, blah. So I just deleted my account. I was like, I'm not going to get into any of that. I know the stuff works. I stand behind it. It worked for me. I haven't had anybody say it didn't, but I don't care. Like I'm not a medical professional. I'm not giving advice. I was just sharing my story. So I was like, it doesn't even matter. Right. And what I found through that whole process was it doesn't matter how many times I tell you, look, this is the only one I trust. This is what I trust. This is what I did specifically. 2 drops, right? And then diluted with like a butt ton of other carrier oil. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you tell people. They'll do whatever they want with whatever they found the cheapest way on whatever store, and they'll mess it up and they'll do it horribly wrong one time and it'll go bad. And then they'll say, it doesn't work. You suck. Don't ever use natural stuff. It's horrible. And I'm like,
and then what makes it even worse is then they end up in the emergency room.
Yeah, and then they blame you. And I'm like, I never told you to shop at Walmart. Like,
yes. And I have learned that along the way that I started doing this for myself. Mm-hmm. And I found that it worked better for me than other things I had tried.
Yeah.
And the more natural and the more homeopathic and of actual substance instead of chemical actually really worked for me.
Yeah.
But I learned along the way that as I wanted to share with all of these people that, you're in pain. Here, let me share what I made. I did this for myself. I'm not charging. Please just try it. Tell me if it works for you. And then they turn around and tell me, oh, I drank the whole bottle. I'm like, you were supposed to rub that on yourself. Didn't it taste awful? Please tell me that you were ogling and praying to the porcelain gods for 3 days, because just a drop of it on my tongue makes me want to go like scrub it with a brush. So,
the things people do when they don't read directions, like what the fuck, man?
Or I'm like, I get it. I maybe it's because you don't understand it, but you don't take a whole bottle of vitamins or prescriptions or a bottle of alcohol or whatever it is and expect that it's going to help, because you're overflooding your system. And then they don't follow it properly, and then it's your fault, and it's the oil's fault, and the oils are bad. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, and it's the expert's fault. It's the person that was giving you, like, hey, this is what I did for me. It's their fault. No.
It also goes to state that, I told you 3 times before I gave this to you not to do this with it. And then I even wrote it on the jar, and you still did this with
Well,
it.
and that's the thing, like, because we're not like doctors and things, it doesn't matter how much research we have, we can't prescribe. So I'll even be like, look, this is what the bottle says, this is what the company says, here's the original pamphlet, here's what like 45 doctors have said how to use it, here's their discussions, and also like talk to your naturopath and make sure this is like legit. And they'll go, okay, cool. And then on the way home, they drink the thing. And I'm like, no, like what? I'm not talking to anybody ever again.
That part, my goal has always been to help others with my knowledge, with whatever I figure out, even if it's for myself.
Yeah.
Because if I can help somebody to not go through what I have gone through or to minimize their effects from it, I am all game. I am okay being a martyr. I am okay being a guinea pig.
Yeah.
If it helps somebody else. But then I go, how can I help you if you're not willing to help yourself and at least follow the simple direction of do not put this in your eye?
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So speaking of putting it in your eye. All right.
Oh, no.
So funny story. So let's just say there was a special someone, myself, but we won't say anybody's names. So let's just say this person who's very intelligent and knows all of these things that you do not do because she is so educated. So let's just say she had a sty one time on her eye and she's thinking, well, you know what helps with infections is lemongrass. And you know what helps with, eyesight is lemongrass on the auricular point of your ear. So one can only, whatever the word is right now, deduce from that knowledge that I could use lemongrass somewhere near my eye to kill the infection of the sty. So I don't think that line of thinking is wrong. Let's just say that. But what I did was horrendous. And I look back on it and I'm like, what was I even thinking? So I got this washcloth and I put hot water on it. And I put a drop of lemongrass in the hot water on the washcloth and let it just kind of like aroma itself, And then I placed that washcloth thinking that it wasn't like oil on my eye. It was just going to be the aroma. Right? That was my whole thought, was it was going to be like steam on my eye. So I placed it like over my eye, not touching it, but like, where like the hot was there. And I was like, this is the smartest thing I've ever done. I am the most intelligent person on the whole planet. And then all of a sudden my eyes started burning so bad. And I couldn't even it was the worst thing I'd ever done to myself. But you know what happened is, it hurt the worst for 15 minutes. I literally was praying that I would not be blind. It was that bad. And then after that 15 minutes, the sty was gone, my eyesight was fine, and I haven't had a sty since.
Okay.
So it worked, but I don't suggest it at all.
Your theory behind it was spot on. But what a lot of people don't understand is there are certain areas that are very highly sensitive to it. And those are mucous membranes and your eyeball being one of them.
Yeah.
And so what I would next time suggest is if that is what you were having going on, I would mix a little bit of carrier oil in the palm of your hand. And I would put just 1, 2, maybe 3 drops of the lemongrass oil in it. And I would rub it together between your hands. And then I would take your finger and rub it into your palm of your hand. And I would rub it behind both of your ears. And circular motion facing outward, towards your front.
Yeah.
And I would do that. I would rub it a couple of times. From there, what I would do is I would go to straight down from there in the base of my throat and do the same thing. You're making circular motions. And what you're doing when you do that and you're applying it is you are creating circulation. So the more that, if it just sits there, it's going to work. But it gets to the area faster if you do this. And if you've got an issue going on that you need help with now, because I've had migraines that I've needed help now. And that's what I do, is I rub it in a circular motion. From there, if it's a really bad issue, I will rub it on my wrists or on my feet, because anytime, neat or with a carrier oil, that you put an essential oil on the bottom of your feet, it is going to be through your whole entire system within 27 minutes at most, is what they say. If it's a really strong one, I myself, being hypersensitive, I can taste it I put it on my feet, and 5 minutes later, I can taste it on the tip of my tongue. It's supposed to take 27
that's so
minutes,
crazy.
but you have so many receptors in the bottom of your feet. So people are putting oils in all of these places thinking, oh, it's right here. When it comes to essential oils, it's better to go a little bit and see if it works. And your body will really surprise you because of it being so natural. Our bodies naturally absorb it. And that's sometimes a carrier oil isn't just for the fact that this oil straight can be very painful or harming to you. It's also because certain carrier oils work really well with certain essential oils, and they bond together and help it go through your system faster.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that your wrists, around your sinus cavities, like I said, you don't want to put it on your face. If I have to absolutely put it near my face, I put it on my temples. And even then, I'm careful, because I've even used I've used essential oil of peppermint and wintergreen with carrier oil, but I use too much oil.
Yeah.
And even putting it on my temples, it being about an inch, maybe less, from my eye, both my eyes burnt so bad. I was like, I thought I did it right, but oh man, I feel like I'm dying right now. My eyeballs are on fire, and I didn't even get it in my eye.
I know. Oh man, that hurts so bad. And you didn't even get it in your eye, you said. I know. That reminds me of when the guys always talked when I was younger about how they were like picking peppers and stuff, and then they went to the bathroom, and you just shouldn't do that. It never made sense to me until I started playing with oils and was like, oh, I'm good. I put peppermint and wintergreen, just like you just said. Like on my temples because I have a migraine. And then, oh yeah, I have an eyelash. Let me get that out. What the? No, don't do that.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because in the back of my mind, I kept having the story pop up, and my brain kept going, no, you shouldn't say that. No, you shouldn't say that.
You should totally say it.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because peppers, yes, you can have that effect. But essential oils can have that effect too. I've been
what is it, the capsaicin or something in the pepper?
It is, but it's not just pepper. It can happen with capsaicin. Like you can do, it can happen with, I've got chili seed oil, and I have cumin oil. I have ginger oil. All of those that are considered a hot or have that element that can increase your body temperature or decrease your body temperature because of the effect. If you get it on a mucous membrane, it's very uncomfortable. And I've been making some orders and some little things here and there, and went, I really got to go to the bathroom, and didn't think nothing of it. Went to the bathroom, wiped, and I was washing my hands afterwards. And as I'm sitting there, oh, how did that happen? There was toilet paper between me and my lady garden, and oh my, However,
the lady garden likes the oils. That's a topic for the women's podcast. Sorry, continue on.
But I'm going to save you. The next time you go, oh my goodness, I have it somewhere and it really hurts.
Yeah.
Do you know how to make that effect lessen or go away?
I mean, if you're going to tell me I need to put milk on it.
No.
Oh, thank God. Because I don't keep milk in the fridge, and I'm like, I don't even drink milk. Like, I'm not going to put it in my eye.
The one thing you never want to do is you don't want to try to wash it off, as silly as it sounds.
Oh my gosh, I know. Tell people why.
It's water and oil. water and oil repel each other. If you take essential
like me
oil,
and my boyfriend,
even cooking oil, and drop it into a glass, it's going to sit on top and it will not blend together. That is why you are not going to get it off your hands or off your anything. If you ever have any kind of uncomfortable or allergic reaction, my biggest suggestion is go get you a carrier oil. What is a carrier oil? It is coconut oil. It is almond oil.
Yeah.
It is
jojoba.
If you are absolutely down and out and have nothing else,
Olive.
I don't recommend it. But if it is all you have, even use vegetable oil.
I've seen people
of
do butter.
Yes, I could see
I mean,
how
I
that would
wouldn't
work.
suggest what's that other fake stuff called? Margarine?
Yes.
No.
But if you ever have those reactions, the area you're having that reaction on, you're going to want to rub that carrier oil all over your hands. And then what I personally do is I have some of the really soft, like baby washcloths. And what I do is I put a little bit of the carrier oil on that, and I don't get it soaking, but I sit there and dab at it for a second so it's got a little bit to it. And then I will rub the area, like if it's on my arm or something like that, because it actually will help diminish the effect or completely take it away.
It's interesting.
Now with that being said,
makes
me think of something. This is something you would think is common sense, but I'm not always so common and don't always have so much sense.
Most of the people on the planet don't. You know, you're high far above most of the people I've met. Let's be real.
Well, would you think that, okay, I'm allergic to this plant, highly allergic to this plant, it's not going to affect me if I try the oil of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, so, like, that depends. I mean, it's not like, it depends on if it's, like, the protein to the allergy, right? I mean, some people are allergic to the flower versus the oil inside of it or something, right? Like the pollen versus the oil.
Yes, because you want to know, growing up, I always thought I was allergic to pine trees because I would break out from them. I'm actually really not. I'm actually, if I am stuck in the arm, like if a pine needle brushes my arm, I will get a little bit of a histamine reaction there. But I always avoided it because I thought being a kid, I seen my girl, and he was allergic to bees, and it ended up killing him.
Dude, that was traumatizing.
I was afraid that this would happen to me with this instead.
I know. Gosh, man, I hadn't thought about that movie. Yeah, so you're saying you would walk by a pine needle and it would scratch, and then you'd get red. It wouldn't even scratch it; it would just touch it, and the oil it irritated you.
Okay, so my family liked to go every year and get our own Christmas tree and cut it down. And I started realizing that my parents always told me I was allergic to it because my dad was. But in reality, what it is if I hug a pine tree and get poked in the arm by several of them. Okay, I'm guilty. I'll admit it.
Dude, I hug banyans. It's not as easy. They're a mile wide. But still, I get it.
I tried to hug a redwood. Like, there's no way that it's going to happen.
Did you, climb it or something?
There was no way to. Seriously, if two of you and two of me stood holding hands and tried to wrap ourselves around this tree, I'd be surprised if we got halfway around it.
Oh my gosh, that's like a dream. I've always wanted to go out there. Was that in California or was that in Oregon?
It was in California.
I almost said oregano.
Right, and the redwood. Do what?
I almost said oregano. I was like, is that the right name?
Hey, we're going to go with it. We were talking about oregano.
I know.
That's our story. We're sticking to it.
That's good. Yeah, you said so. It was California. Sorry.
It was California, and in the redwood forest. I'm assuming they've done it since then, but they did have a tree that you could that was carved out like a bridge under the roots of the tree so that you could actually drive through it.
Yeah, man, my
And
friend has a picture of that.
I do
In that.
too.
Really? Did you go through it?
I did. And we were in a van, and I was one of those little weirdos that I opened up the side sliding door,
Yeah.
and I sat there and took pictures of the inside
Yes!
of the tree for driving.
Yes! Did you touch it?
I did. I took several of them, and there was a couple of them that were falling, and I'm like this weird little hippie out in the middle of, and you can tell I'm a tourist, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love these trees. And there's
a pretty
one
tree.
falling over, and I am literally, it's laying on its side, and it is so big that I am climbing this tree like it is a mountain. And I'm like, I made it get to the top, and I almost fell off.
Seriously? Oh.
So then I ended up deciding to half fall, half gracefully decide I'm going to try to straddle this big tree, and my legs were so, like, this tree was so big, my legs were almost like completely sticking out sideways for me. I think I actually have a picture of it somewhere.
Oh, that's hilarious. I think that should be the title of a book, and you use that as the cover.
What?
I don't know. Tree straddler, something like that.
Happy little tree hugger.
Oh my gosh, I was speaking of such and such. I was talking to a person who was probably, what did he say? He's like, I'm a young 81. So he was a young fella, but he did not know who Bob Ross was. You know who Bob Ross is.
Of course I do.
Oh my god, I thought I was having a warped moment or something.
No, I was actually just taking a drink of my mushroom coffee was all.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is like the butt crack of midnight, and I am drinking mushroom coffee, but I'm that little.
I don't know, down here in South Africa, it's bright morning early.
I'd like to see there someday.
Me too. No, you should come visit. So you do mushroom coffee? Is it like Rise or what brand?
Honestly, I can't remember the brand. It was gifted to me from my brother. He has a tendency of sending me bags of things. Hey, I tried this. I didn't like it. Or, hey, I have too much of this. Here, just take this. And I have been wanting mushroom coffee for the longest time. And I got turned on to years ago, Four Stigmata. And they are an amazing company. Their mushroom blends are phenomenal. And people go, you put mushroom in your coffee? It must taste like dirt. That's what I loved about the Four Stigmata is they don't taste like dirt. However,
yeah, I mean mushrooms are kind of dirt tasting.
I'm a little bit on the broke side, and so I'm one of those that I find a way, I make a way. I've also recently looked up buying some of my own and how to dehydrate them and make my own powder from them.
Dude, you could grow your own mushrooms in a tub. Yes, we shouldn't talk about that. I don't mean those mushrooms, whoever is listening.
Actually, I follow quite a few sites about growing your own lion's mane and your own reishi in your own home to either A, eat them, or B, dry them for their medicinal purposes because they're so wonderful. I've actually had quite a few medical problems going on lately. And not to go too much into it, but I have an issue walking very far on my own. I can't stand for long periods. I have really bad migraines. I can't focus. I feel like an ADHD squirrel 24/7. My little brother sends me this package and he says he didn't like it. Here, try it. And I was like, wait. So the Four Stigmata does the mushroom coffee. Let me read the back of this. I'm big on reading the back of things. And it says, you can put this much in it and you can use it this many times a day as long as you don't use this much, more than this much. And I'm like, okay. And I am now on day 5 of drinking it in my coffee 2, maybe 3 times a day, making sure to drink a couple bottles of water in between so I don't get dehydrated because it does turn kind of sludgy in the bottom of the cup. So if it turns sludgy in the bottom of the cup, it's going to turn sludgy in me if I don't drink water to hydrate that. So I've been making sure to do that, but I've been noticing.
Sludge isn't good.
No. If you got sludge, H2O. I know we don't all like water. I put cucumbers and a little bit of lemon juice in my water to make sure that, it tastes a little special. It makes me feel fancy, and it doesn't just taste like bleh, nothing.
That
And
is very true. That's a really good recipe. You just cut up cucumbers?
so I
Not to cut
got
you.
oh no, you're fine. I got a box of baby cucumbers, the little ones, gifted to me, and I absolutely love cucumbers in my water. I can't drink just a regular bottled water. I can't just drink tap water or filtered water. It doesn't taste right to me. But I know that my body needs it. So I had to learn how to trick my body into making it feel like it's special. I have no problem juicing raw fruit and cucumbers and whatever and vegetables and drinking it when most people think it's nasty. So I'm one of those that, what are little ways that I can change it? So glass of water that's sitting right in front of me. It's a mason jar with filtered tap water that I just cut a baby cucumber up into little slices, put it in there and put a couple drops of lemon juice into it, stirred it around. It's got a little bit of flavor. I've already got this quart jar down to probably about a pint right now. And if it was just water, I wouldn't drink it. It would just sit here. And my body and me both would scream, nah, I'd rather go dehydrated. That's not doing anything for me. But I don't know if it's maybe there's a little bit of vitamins, maybe a little bit of minerals that you're putting back into it. Every now and again, I'll put trace minerals in my water because a lot of our water is purified and distilled. So it's natural. It's taking out those natural minerals that are supposed to be in our water. And if you put just a couple of drops of trace minerals in it, especially if you're sick, if you're not feeling good, if you got a lot of stress going on, it really helps to give that little extra pep in your step by not having to take, regular vitamins and things. Just putting in your water. If you put too much, it'll have a salty taste to it. But, if you put a couple drops and put a couple cucumbers in it, you really aren't going to notice it.
That is very true. I'm not a cucumber fan, but I do like oranges and lemons in my water. I know you do lemons sometimes too, right?
Yes. Okay, so I do my waters like I do my lemonade sometimes. And in the summertime, I might sound like a weirdo. One of my favorites to make is actually jalapeno limonade.
I'm sorry.
And
Did you? That sounds good.
I did. I said jalapeno limonade. And what I do is I take lemons and limes and I squeeze them by hand or I juice them. And you take that and you take it with it. I usually like to use pure cane sugar. It is still sugar,
Yeah.
but my body doesn't have the same effect as it does with white sugar. So I like to use the pure cane sugar, and then I used filtered water with it. And I from there will cut up slices of lemons and limes and let them float on top. And I also slice up jalapenos and just let them sit on top. And then I take a pinch or two of coarse sea salt and put it in there. Just give it that little bit of offness to it. And that little bit of the salt and the sugar and the heat to it. But I am going to warn you, the longer it sits in your refrigerator, like if you're going to be like me and be like, I made a big batch of it. I'm so happy. I'm going to drink over the course of 3 days. Once you get to about your third day, you're probably going to want to put a little extra water in it because the longer the jalapeno set, the stronger it gets. But even then, it's not bad. And jalapenos are actually very cleansing, and so are lemons and limes. So it's tasty, and you're doing something good for your body. So can it really be wrong if it tastes that good?
I mean, no, and that sounds like a song from whatever the 60s or 70s, You Light Up My Life. But I know, I've never heard of that. I know, Sonic had limeade all the time and cherry limeade and all that fun stuff we used to get in college, but I haven't heard limeade in forever. You saying limonade sounds delicious. So I really think you should create a cookbook for your website that you have launching because you do so many cool, I do this and then I try it and it's amazing or delicious or it works or it's whatever. So can you do that? Can I talk you into that?
Actually, you can. And the thing of it is I have been so inspired by, your podcast, by your help, that it has actually inspired a lot of ideas that I never thought that I myself could accomplish. And now I find myself going, okay, now if I do a little bit of this night, and if I do a little bit of this while I can listen to this podcast about this while I'm washing dishes. And I never used to do that before. And now I have this list of things that I want to accomplish. And several of them are cookbooks, but I don't want them to be normal cookbooks because anybody can do a cookbook.
Well, don't give your whole idea away here, but I think you've got an audience that's going to be so excited. What did you want to do with it?
I want to do cookbooks that are, one, I want to do a gluten-free one. It is really hard for people to find gluten-free recipes, but once you find what works for you, and once you've become gluten-free and you've been that way for a while, you know a basis of what you can and what you can't have. I don't have to check the grocery store, stand in the middle of the grocery store, sitting there staring at a box up to my face trying to see the ingredient list anymore. And now they have these nifty little apps that all you have to do is just scan the barcode. And if you already put in your information of what your allergies are, they actually will tell you if you can eat this food. So now that they have different things like that out there, I wonder if people are like I was in the beginning and go, okay, no, I can't eat gluten. And I just went to a restaurant, and seriously, the only thing here that I can have that is not going to affect me today is water and salad.
Yeah, I was going to say applesauce, but I didn't know.
I cannot tell you how many times I've asked at places, do you guys have any form of a gluten-free menu? We have salad. And I'm like,
and we'll take the croutons off of it.
After it's already touched your lettuce, and then you're going to have a reaction when you get home and go, okay, I know all I ate was green beans, corn, and salad. They had to have put the croutons on and then went, oh, I forgot, and took them off. Because I am that sensitive. If it touches it, I won't have a ginormous reaction, but I will have a small reaction. And it goes back to the not wanting people to feel like I have.
Well, that's worth talking about.
Not knowing that I had these issues going on, I had to figure it all out for myself. And I want people to have resources that I wish I had when I figured these things out. I want someone to be like, oh my goodness, this really helped me. Like, all of these things have helped me.
Well, you're really good at that. And I mean, it's interesting how you're able to take it in such like in a way that makes it, I don't know a better word, but bite-sized, right? I mean, we're talking about food, but you take this big science topic that you've understood and researched forever, and you go, okay, this is affecting me. And I know this scientifically, I'm going to start doing this. And then not only do you know that, but then you start freaking making those recipes. And that's where I would like to be inspired more. I mean, thanks for the shout out for inspiring you. That's our whole gig here at Facets of Inspiration TV. #plug. But I think like what you do with when you're excited about a food that you found that works for you, you use it, right? Like I'll buy food and it rots in my fridge because I don't have the inspiration to cook. But I'm so inspired when you're like, I was canning this week. Holy cow.
So my dad volunteers at a food giveaway, and at the end of it, they usually have a lot of produce, and a lot of that produce actually goes to a local farm for their animals because everyone's gotten what they wanted. It's left over. If it just sits here, it's going to rot, and they don't need that going on. And so it's beneficial all the way around that it goes to local farms. So every now and again, hey, we had like 30 cases of tomatoes. I brought you one. And now I'm like, I got this case of tomatoes sitting here. What am I going to do with it? I've got kids running around. I've got to make dinner. I've got to clean the house. I've got to do all these things. And now I have produce sitting over in my corner that I swear every time I walk into the corner, it's going, hey, did you forget about me? Are you going to do something with me before I start to decay?
Mine's usually wearing a mold hat by that time.
So I've gotten pretty big on trying to be frugal. Yes, it would have went to somebody else if I didn't have it, but I don't want it just because I have it and we're not eating it that fast. I don't want it to go bad. So whenever I was a kid, my mom, she was really big on teaching us how to can because one, she's already canning because
Oh,
we have
that's
a
cool.
garden, and two, hey, this is a lot of work. Get over here and help me, kind of thing. So I learned,
Yeah, that's why we had children.
right? But that's how I learned. And as I got older, I I need more jars, I need more rings, and I realized it's never ending addiction when it comes to canning. You never have enough jars and you never have enough lids and rings. And I'm constantly going, ooh, can I find some on sale? But I use them for everything. And a lot of people think that canning is for older generations. And, my grandma used to do it or my aunt does it. And they're not realizing how many people are actually learning homesteading or what they call homesteading things to learn how to be frugal and how to preserve. And if you have an abundance of something, why let it sit there and rot? I've got a dehydrator. I can dehydrate it. I love
Yeah.
whenever I do things, like if I'm cutting up some bell peppers for dinner and I cut up some onions. Did you know that if you save your onion skins, you can actually wash them in water and rinse them off, and then you're going to pat them dry with a paper towel, let them air dry for a little bit so that they're all dry, and you're going to take that and you're going to put it in a blender or a food processor or even a wiped out coffee grinder, and now you just saved your skins that you were going to throw in the trash, and you just turned that into extra onion powder that you don't have to go to the store and buy tomorrow because you just ran out.
Heck yeah, man, that's a really interesting topic there, the dehydrators. I mean, we were talking about canning rebels earlier. Them dehydrator rebels are phenomenal. I learned so much. But I saw someone do that. They took their onion peels or their vegetable peels or, like their scraps that they cut but were still good, and things like that. Or even like old soup and stuff and like dehydrated it into powders to use in recipes.
So I don't know if you have ever used any of these. There is a company that I love buying from, and for the life of me at the moment, I can't remember the name. I want to say it's Augustin Farms, but I could be wrong. They have this little metal, looks like a coffee can, and you open it up, and when you open it up, you hear that little pop sound, like it's got the freshness to it.
Yeah.
And it is actually filled with dehydrated peas and carrots and cabbage and onions and all of these things, and I can pay whatever price they're charging, or I've already got my dehydrator. I already have this sitting right here. Instead of cutting this little scrap off that didn't fit my size and style that I wanted for my dish, that instead of just throwing it out, I cut it up, I save it to the side, and then I throw it in my freezer. And when I'm ready to do something with it, I pull that bag that I keep adding to out, I let it thaw, and then from there I put it on my dehydrator and I turn it on and let it go until they're crispy and they're crunchy. And then I put them in a mason jar with one of those little silicone packets. And that way it keeps extra moisture out and it keeps everything else out. And I can't get my kids to eat enough vegetables.
Yeah.
There's certain ones they like and they're picky. But with this, they have no idea that in the spaghetti or in their ramen noodles or their whatever that they just had, that mom just put a huge scoop of these dehydrated vegetables into it. And the vegetables that you will never touch on your own, you just ate. Yay, mom score.
Man, that's something really good to talk about too. What is it? Hold on. Sorry, can you hear me? I was trying to plug in my headset. But when friends will say, like I had a friend growing up, she's like, oh yeah, I hate cinnamon. But then she would come over to the house, and she loves my cookies that have cinnamon in it because I put cinnamon in everything. And she goes, "Oh, your cookies are so delicious." I have a cousin like that too. "Oh, your stuff is so delicious. It's so good. What's your recipe?" And I give it to her. She goes, "I'm going to leave out the cinnamon." I'm like, "But you liked mine." I hate cinnamon, but you liked mine. I'm confused. They like it until they know what's in there, and then they don't like it. Why is that?
I equate that to, take an essential oil. I absolutely love patchouli. Patchouli in itself can kind of have a derogatory effect on some people. You smell like a dirty hippie.
Oh
is
my
what
God.
I got a lot. But I actually stopped and I thought about it. And I actually did my research on this. Do you know why some people have a very passionate dislike for certain essential oils?
I mean, I have a theory, but I'll let you tell me the real why.
So, patchouli actually is a deep emotional oil. And it actually helps to unlock pent up and stored emotions, which can actually turn into trigger knots and things in your body and actually start to cause issues because you have these emotions that are stuck in you that you're not dealing with. And then somebody comes along that's having those issues going on, and then they smell my patchouli walking through a store, and they suddenly get really mad and really angry, and you smell like a dirty hippie. And I tell them, I am sorry that I affected you in a negative way. I just wanted everyone to be able to smell the beautiful peace that patchouli brings me. I'll try not to wear it next time so strongly, but I hope you have a wonderful day. And they look at me like I just smacked them in the face.
Well, you did with kindness. How dare you?
It is my nicest way of saying I am sorry that my oil inadvertently brought up an emotion that you weren't willing to deal with. So it's like a PTSD reaction. They smell this and they don't understand that it's actually releasing the emotions. And it's a very calming and grounding oil. And all of these things start to have a negative effect towards them. And, you smell like old people. You smell like an old folks' home. And in reality, it's because it's a flower or it's a herb that's meant to make you deal with your emotional crap that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And now you're suddenly in the middle of a hippie store that smells like a patchouli fest, and you have this person who's dealing with all of their pent up things and don't want to let them go and doesn't know how to, and suddenly now every one of them, and then there is a dirty hippie. Ew, that smell.
Oh, it's so funny. That really does bring it out in people too. Patchouli's one of those that'll just engage people immediately. It triggers. And you're right about it being emotional. I'm glad you brought that up because essential oils are very emotional. They're very, especially when you use them on like the auricular points on your ears. Yes. And you have different spots that are connected to different emotional pinpoints in your life. And then you were talking about trauma too. I know we're doing that challenge together, which our next one's full. But if anybody listening is interested in getting in on the next one, I'll put our email up here. But we're doing a challenge where, you not only change your diet, but you change your workouts in the way that it's a somatic situation to fix trauma. Because trauma, and then we're not experts, we're not doctors, we're not anything. We're just chatting about ourselves and our own stuff. Like we use oils because of emotions. And a lot of people that you were talking about that can't deal with patchouli, I've noticed who I love these people. I'm not saying anything judgmental at all. I'm just saying usually if you are triggered by like an emotional oil like that, it's because there's a block that you are not able to access and that one touches it, right? Like it brings back something that you have not dealt with. Like for instance, this is an interesting discussion. And I'm not going to dive too far into this because I have my tinfoil hat on, but I don't wear it for everybody. But, it's one of those things. But let's talk vanilla, right? Like I freaking hate vanilla. I hate everything. I mean, I'll eat it in food, but like smell of it, the candles, the scent, the smell of vanilla, like I just, like it's not a, it has the exact opposite of an aphrodisiac on me. And I know that's what it is for people. And oh my God, it's every man's aphrodisiac. Like they, for some reason, have not found another scent yet. Some of the more advanced men, I will tell you, have gone to like sandalwood, or something like pine, maybe. But most men I smell, they're like, it's a vanilla. And I'm like, I don't, it's nasty. And then I remembered recently that that ties back to somebody who I dislike, who did something very bad, who loved vanilla. And I just remembered that. And it's been years that I hated it. But we tie smells to things, and people don't realize that, right? And so if we tie smells to things and we can have that, why would we not think that our brains could also heal from smells? Like if we put peppermint in the air, and I didn't say the word heal because I don't know that stuff. And for comedic purposes, this was just a hilarious story that I remember of having like a respiratory situation where I was like freaking out. I didn't know what I was going to do because my chest hurt and I, had my asthma stuff. I'd done all of that. And then I sniffed peppermint. And I'm like, that's huge, right? Like what a huge experience of sniffing peppermint. Like that's a big thing. Why isn't everybody just doing that? Is what I don't understand.
Okay. I'm really glad that you just brought all of that up, because with you talking about the smell and why everyone's not doing that, I have a theory on that. I have no logical behind it, but I've done enough research.
Yeah, and this is just a comedy
to figure it
podcast,
out.
people.
And I have realized that a lot of times when people smell an oil or a smell that makes them have that reaction like you were talking about, it's not always just the oil or the whatever it is. I have learned with my own self that that is my body's reaction of telling me that it is not as pure as I think it is. Because I absolutely love patchouli oil. I don't wear it all the time. It's very strong. It's very overpowering. But I've got to be in the mood to deal with the feelings that it brings about in myself, and if I go out in public, the feelings that it brings out in other people. However, me loving patchouli and not always having the money to spend on the higher class brands that, usually are more expensive but are far more potent, I've realized that not all oils, some are okay, but a lot of them depend on what time of the year that they were harvested. You can have one bottle of lavender oil that the next month it won't smell the same. Lavender is one of those things that they produce in hot houses and things all throughout the year. And their summer lavender smells completely different than their winter lavender. And
Oh my gosh,
say that anywhere on the bottle.
I can't.
I really like winter lavender. I prefer winter lavender over summer lavender. I actually sometimes like mixing the two.
Oh, that's interesting how people are different. And that is exactly right there why anyone who is listening to this should not take our advice, but should research for yourself. Because we both love lavender. I can tell just from the way she said that. She knows which lavender she likes. And I remember learning when in my naturopath school that I went to, I did not finish. I apologize. I did not finish. But I learned that even so much to the time of morning that you pick it, if it's, this time of day, and she's right, in this time of season, in this time of year, like it's different. It's a different oil that's in the plant. And knowing the way that plants work, I mean, I took botany in college, and that was an interesting discussion because the way and I'm not even going to go into the fact like I know science terms, but like to think about the way the juices are flowing through the plant at different times of its life cycle makes sense, right? It has more growth hormones at a certain time when it's budding and all these different things. So if you are thinking about that in the terms of essential oils, that makes perfect sense. You don't want to cut it too soon. You don't want to cut it too late. You don't want to cut it after the deer have eaten all the good stuff. I mean, like, what's the whole deal there? But knowing that and knowing the quality, which explains why a lot of people get cheap oils from places, because, I mean, it's the same way if you go and get, crap whatever at a whatever store because they had leftover. You don't know what you're getting, but you can take it and use it if you're smart enough. And, you just have to have those tools to be smart enough. And you can be smart enough with anything you make, grow, buy, or whatever. It doesn't have to be the fancy brands. And that's what I think irked me so much about before we were chatting with the oil situation, was that, like, I absolutely love the quality of the big brands and I trusted them and I loved it. But when I didn't have the money, it almost made me feel like now I have no solutions because I don't trust the medical community and I don't have the money for these fancy ass oils. So it created a big disconnect, and then learning that I could grow my own things, and someone gave me a distiller and I have, I know, I'm telling you, this retreat you're coming to, it's going to be a banger.
So I have a question. Do you know how to use it?
Well, I have an answer, but I'm not talking about it here.
Okay. Because if not, I can always show you how, because it's one of those things.
Well, you
that
got
I don't
products.
have
See,
myself.
my situation is I don't have a garden where I'm at right now. We travel too much for work. I don't have the space to keep track of anything like that other than houseplants with a water bulb.
So one of these days that we are available, we need to do maybe just a hippie girls retreat and do your part. But what I want to do is I want to take people to the farmer's market and show them which one you can get amazing discounts on bulk herbs and things, and how you can dry them at home, how you can show them step by step how to do this, because knowledge is power. And I can't tell you how many people have tried the products that I have made and then went, but you charge too much. And then turn around and buy it from somewhere else and then tell me
double the price.
But it didn't do the same thing. Why didn't it do the same thing? It says, well, because I'm not trying to say anything about this company. I don't know them. But a lot of times it comes to quality, and then it comes to the whole how we were talking about, the essential rebellers. That, we do like for, things that other people in the essential oil world kind of frown upon. But I've learned for certain things that a lot of herbs, a lot of oils piggyback off of each other. That if you actually look at essential oils, it's not just, oh, look, here's a piece of grass that we turned into oil. That's not what it is. It is there are so many chemical breakdowns of what exactly is in that plant. And then now you have a multiplication times 1,000 of that one thing. And so it's learning that, okay, I can put a little bit more of this one in there because I'm having nerve pain. But if I put more of this one in here, I'm going to have to put less of this one so I don't have too high of this chemical compound in there, so I don't forcefully detoxify my system by using too much of it.
Dude, the nerve pain, you're right on point with that too. And a lot of people don't even realize what they can use essential oils for. But I remember making a concoction and rubbing it on my friend's leg, who said that even so much as like the sheet touching her leg made it so she couldn't sleep at night. And I was like, well, I remember, and it was your freaking book. I was like, I remember reading in this book my friend had about these things that if I put it together with, I think it was coconut oil or something, but I have jojoba here, so I put it all together in a little jar, and I was like, I'm just going to give you a little massage on your leg. I'm not even going to, I have no clue if this is going to work, but I don't think it's going to hurt you. And she was like, try anything. I've taken all the medications. The doctors can't help me. And I was like, I am not a doctor. I know absolutely nothing. I am just thinking for some reason that this might, help you, because I felt bad. And she was like, try it, go ahead. So I put a little bit on her leg, and oh my gosh, she slept through the night, and she goes, what was that? It was like 3 essential oils in a carrier oil. Why is everybody not using that? She had like diabetic neuropathy. It was ridiculous.
Yes.
And I am not a doctor. I'm not giving anybody medical advice. Do not do what I say to do. I am just saying, like, oh my gosh, I accidentally made this happen. And how come if I ask a doctor about that, they're like, oh, that was an anomaly. Here's a pill that she'd already taken and it didn't work.
I'm really glad that you asked that, because with you saying that we are not medical advice, you're right. I am in no way, shape, or form medical advice, and I will never claim to be. But what I have realized is when the people that essential oils and herbs and diet change and exercise change and all of that works for are people that have come to the end of their rope with their situation and go, okay, I've went to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 doctors. None of them can tell me what's going on. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that I'm smarter than a doctor. But what I'm saying is I'm very hyperchemically sensitive. My body does not deal with outside chemicals very well. And so I had to learn what worked for me. I'm being given all of these medications, and not a single doctor asked me, what's your diet like? How active are you? What do you do in your free time? What do you eat? How do you eat it? Why do you eat it? And
do you know who asks that? You'll love
nutritionists,
this.
And homeopathics.
Well, homeopathics, yeah. The nutritionists, not anymore. I've tried. I've really tried with them. But you know who does? It's the estheticians. The estheticians are asking that because you know what you're seeing is like you're having the skin's reaction to whatever your gut is doing. And if we've been destroying our diet for generations and, you know, parents are passing down their not only food habits, but their genetics, we are eating like shit and walking like shit and feeling like shit and living in shit daily. And we don't even wash our face with so much as like Dove soap out of the shower. So estheticians are the first sign of like, hey, you've got a giant amount of like this breakout here consistent. And what are you doing daily other than your skincare? What are you doing? And I was surprised to find out that they are asking, what do you eat? What do you drink? Where do you go? Do you wash your pillow? I was like, you guys are, wow. I mean, they're licensed and they're licensed to do skincare and they're in their lane, but they know their stuff and people do not give them the credit because it's just steaming and creaming, right? But then they'll go to a dermatologist that doesn't, like you said, that you've gone to every doctor. You've done every, like, you've asked questions, you've taken the test. And a lot of doctors are very beneficial. I've noticed I've gotten a lot of really good, testing and imagery and things like that from doctors. And I've been able to ask questions of certain doctors, but they don't always have the time. And if you're not on an expensive budget, you can't ask for them to take 3 hours and look at every detail of your life. So they just don't. And they just don't. And I can't imagine how many doctors I've gone to that know absolutely nothing about me, my history, other than the chart that I know they spent 2 seconds looking at, and they're already prescribing me 3 different prescriptions. And you were talking about being sensitive. I'm like, if we're breaking out to oils, can you imagine what I'm doing to 3 different prescriptions all together at once? Like, I'm already sick. That's why I was here. So it's just an upside down system.
It is. And that's what pushed me to herbs and oils, is because I realized all of these butt tons of prescriptions that they were giving me, they were making me worse. So I got to the point that I reached that level of desperation and went, I have to take my own health and my own wellness into my own hands, because if I don't, who will? These doctors see me for 5 minutes and they don't know anything about me. And the first thing starts of is if there's a problem, if you can't figure it out, find a way. I found out that I had a gluten allergy, not by allergy testing itself, but because I went, I can't take this anymore. I took myself off all of my pills and I started eating just salads and fruits and vegetables for a week. I'm not saying to take yourself
like
off
a
your
food diet.
medications.
Yeah.
Yes. I am by no means telling
Or
anybody to
journaling.
take themselves off their medications. I'm saying I did what was best for me, and it was the best thing I ever did. I took myself off of them. I immediately started drinking more water. I started taking vitamins, and I started eating nothing but salads and nuts and fruit and vegetables for like a week straight. And then I started PMSing and go, I really, really want some macaroni and cheese. And all of a sudden I was sick all over again. And I went, there's something here. So I immediately grabbed out a notebook and I wrote down everything that I ate, and I kept the packages and I stapled them to the page. So that way, not only could I write down what I was eating in a day, but I could also look back at these packages and see what the ingredients were on them and start comparing them. And by that, I started realizing maybe my body doesn't do so well with wheat. And I've realized over the years that now that I haven't had it in my system, I'm very hypersensitive to it.
Have you ever tried anything that was from a country that doesn't allow glyphosate?
I have not, and I don't know that if it is a phosphate issue that I have problems with, but when I went through and started figuring out through a food journal what I had issues with, I realized that I had a gluten sensitivity, and I was also extremely sensitive to any form of sulfate, sulfuz, anything like that.
Oh man, me too. I was surprised to find out how many of the sulfa whatever things are in medications. Like I can't take Vicodin. I can't take anything that is, like whatever those congestion D medications are. Like they'll have Claritin, that's fine, but Claritin D will make me vomit. And yeah, people don't know those things because nobody talks about that stuff, and doctors don't know.
Okay.
I mean, doctors know, but they're so busy. I'm not giving doctors a bad rap. I found a doctor in my region who actually you can talk to, and I was so impressed. Like, not only did I bring up that stupid trending, I'm going to say the word, the motherfucker gene. Like, I brought it up, and I said that to her, and I kind of gave that side eye, like, oh my gosh, I wore my tinfoil hat out in public type of situation, right? Like, I was like, oh no. And she met me with her tinfoil hat and said, I'll mark the test. It was beautiful, but I was like, you don't meet people like that very often, like you just don't. And it's frustrating. I ran into a guy on a plane one time, and he was telling me of some strange stories, but he was telling me about his doctor, who is a naturopath, and the naturopath does everything by the full body of checking your pulse first. The first thing that person did is, I think it was a she, I forget. He told me, but I forget. Every time he went to the doctor, the pulse was checked, and then like she would check every single thing that she knew, like his eyes and all these different things. And I was like, that is the strangest situation, because that's what we should be doing. And other countries are doing that. And it's like considered an alternative woo-woo thing here. I don't get the concept. But cutting people open and just practicing is totally fine.
Well, once again, not trying to bash doctors.
Not at all. I love some doctors.
Someone once told me, you know why they call it a medical practice, don't you? And I said, no, why? Because they're still continually practicing and trying to get it right.
Yes.
I'm with you. There are some doctors who listen, but I feel like I myself personally have fallen through the cracks of medical practice my whole entire life. And I've had one issue or another, and I have never felt more relief than I have by changing my diet, by walking more often, by doing yoga, to like you said, to not just lose weight, not just for movement, but it also helps with those pent-up emotions. Pent-up emotions can actually act like a toxin inside of your body and start to make you sick if you don't get rid of them. And so by doing all these things and finding what worked for me, I didn't go on a diet. I went on a lifestyle change. I lost 130 pounds, all by never stepping foot into a gym, just by doing things naturally and taking the time that my body needed and listening to it. And by using herbs and oils and eating better and doing things that my body likes. Like if it doesn't like something, it'll tell me. And that to me is your guide. That you can't go to somebody and be like to your doctor or to your therapist or even to a naturopath and say, hey, I got this thing going on. Can you help me? You know, you've got to give them some detail about what is going on. And they don't know what your lifestyle is and how many people hide things from their doctors because they don't feel comfortable. You know,
Well,
and
dude, they don't tell them the main points. How many people don't tell them that they do drugs? Don't tell them that they stay up all night. Don't tell them that they don't eat right. They're like, yeah, I'm eating fine. Okay, a bag of chips every night with a diet soda is not the ideal diet. I'm sorry.
And that's what I had to learn, because whenever I got sick, I was eating horribly. I ate a lot of fast food. I would eat a lot of chips, a lot of ho-hos,
Processed
a lot
anything.
of, yes, a
It just
lot
is,
of,
it's like it comes with death and then we put it in our body. Like, what are we thinking?
well, stop and look at it. We live in a country that a lot of other countries will not allow our products into their borders because we have so many unnatural chemicals. Have you seen the thing floating around Facebook where it is a picture of the back of a Quaker Oats package for raspberries and cream instant oatmeal? And on the one from the United States, there's like a paragraph long of at least 20 ingredients, if not more. And then you look at the picture beside it, and it's from the UK, and it has like 3 or 5 ingredients, and it's dehydrated raspberries, and it's oats, and it's natural dehydrated cream, and natural things, not things that you can't pronounce.
That is such a good point. Holy mother of pearl. What year is this right now? Have we time traveled? Is it 2024? Because I remember it was probably, what year did we travel to Colorado? Was that 15, 16?
I'm going to say it's either 15 or 16.
So like that year, I met a German couple in Baltimore, staying at an inn I was working at. And they were so, whatever you call it, like awakened or whatever. But like I had heard of and been researching genetically modified organisms and all kinds of things in our food and all kinds of stuff. And nobody would listen to me. I was considered hippie. I was considered weird. Nobody would talk to me in my family. Like I was the weird one, like all these kinds of things. And these German friends came in to stay at the inn, and I said something about apples, and they were like, your food here tastes weird. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. She goes, no. I don't mean like your food that you're making at the inn. I mean like in America, like something about your food. And I said, well, have you heard of like, you know, GMO or that Monsanto and stuff? She goes, yeah, we banned those years ago. And I said, I was floored, and she didn't understand why, because it's such a common discussion for her. And this was in what, 2015, 16? I was like, it was such a common discussion for her that they had banned them years ago because they were very, very bad for them. And at that point, at 2015, I was having trouble being seen as a real person who was sane, because I was saying, hey, what are GMOs? And they were like, nobody knew what they were. Nobody would talk about them. Nobody wanted to hear about it. I was crazy, blah, blah, blah. I even had really, 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 really educated people yell at me that there's absolutely no way that they could make anything that would harm the world when all they're trying to do is feed the poor. And here we are in 2024, and they're like, discovering that still we are the only ones that are eating this shit and we are the most unhealthy. That's weird.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because it made me think about something I learned a long time ago along the way of trying to find what was right for me. I can't remember where, can't remember who. All I know is that a gentleman told me, he says, your food's not supposed to taste good. Looked at him and says, excuse me? He says, you ever take natural medicine or any kind of liquid medicine? I says, yeah. He says, it tastes like shit, don't it? I said, well, yeah. He says, do you know why? I says, why? He says, because you're too busy eating ho-hos and chocolate and pizza and all of these things that have all of these additives into it. So now you go to eat these good for you things and it tastes gross. He says, you're not eating for taste. You're eating to fuel your body. You're eating to give your brain nutrients. You are eating to keep your brain and your powerhouse going. And when they say treat your body as a temple, I learned a while ago, it's not, to me, it's not how I thought it was. To me, I realized that if you put junk in, you get junk out. If you eat nothing but junk food and drink soda all day and don't go for walks and don't do things for yourself that could do you better than soda and chips and ho-hos and all of these things that, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying not to eat them. I'm saying that if you want to get healthier, you can eat whatever you want to in moderation. Eat one of them, not the whole box. I was the whole box.
I mean, that's something to talk about too, because people, so you lost a lot of weight, right?
I did.
How was it when people that you knew before knew you afterwards? Was there like a weird, I don't even know how to explain it, but I think you might know what I'm talking about.
So when I was in high school, I was larger.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 25 years old, I had hit 295 pounds.
Yeah.
And it took me several years to get off the weight. I'm not a very social person. I don't hang out with people from high school. Yeah, I stay to myself. And when I actually took up a job as a bartender, probably about a half an hour away from where I went to high school at, they ended up having a party there, and probably about good 10, 15 people that I knew from my early 20s and high school were there. And one girl, I looked at her, I says, hey, is your name such and such? And she goes, yeah. How do you know that? I says, you don't recognize me, do you? She says, no.
Yeah.
I says, remember me? And she goes, oh my God, are you serious? I says, yeah. She says, I'm not trying to be rude, but you look like in high school you were like two of you now. And I'm like, yeah.
What?
She says, how did you do it? I says, a lot of willpower. She says, you must have went to the gym all the time and went on a crazy diet. And I'm like, no. She says, what? I says, I lost the weight over years. I've had kids and I've lost the weight back. And I'm back to my lowest that I've been in my adult life. She says, are you serious? What do you do? Yeah. I says, I live for me now. I live for my kids. If I put this horrible stuff in my body, how long do I think I'm going to be here for my kids? Yeah. If I put this horrible stuff in their bodies, are they going to be able to learn and to retain information like they should at their age and not be holy little terrors and monsters screaming in the store because mom gave them too much red dye at breakfast and now they're bouncing off the wall screaming so everyone can hear?
Holy mac and cheese, I've made that mistake.
I have too. That's why I use that reference. I've done that. I didn't realize it. I knew that it was a thing because I knew back in the day my cousins had a thing, but I didn't realize that my own child did until I went, why? What happened to my sweet, loving child?
Yeah.
why are you like suddenly the Tasmanian devil sat on fire? What
Right? Like,
just happened?
what did you sit on?
He's spinning through the house, screaming and throwing things, and I'm like, oh my goodness, do I need an exorcist? No. Come to find out, I just needed to not give my kid red dyes because he is two
Yeah.
completely different people when he doesn't have red dyes. I know quite a few kids in my lifetime that have been like that.
Well, I'll be honest, yellow is why mine had the kidney problem.
Red and yellow are actually, from what
Just the
I've read and
fellow.
researched, are the two worst for not even just kids, but for adults. And whenever I started looking up the sulfate allergy, they kept mentioning something called the sulfate demon. That whenever you have a sulfate allergy, it actually attacks your nervous system and your emotions. And it makes you very mean and very angry and very hateful. And if chemical can do
I know
that,
so many people with this allergy. Oh, wait.
so I've learned I don't feed my kids these things, and I don't feed myself these things, because unless we all want to be in a nut ward or end up being in a prison cell because we can't keep our tempers, because it's not like, oh yeah, I ate something, now I'm meat. No, it's not like that. I don't know if you've ever taken, like you said, you can't take the Claritin D. I cannot take Claritin D for more than 2 or 3 days in a row because I become the meanest, most bitter, horrible version of me. And I don't know what it is, but I've kind of over time realized that maybe it was just one of the chemicals in there that does not set well with me, that I've actually learned that when it comes to allergies, I can't do any normal stuff. There's a brand called Genexa they do Tylenol, they do allergy meds, they do calm tabs, they do sleeping tabs, and it's not just medicating someone, it's actually herbs and very basic things in the smallest amounts of them. And I wouldn't believe that I used to go from popping Benadryl multiple times a day, still barely able to breathe, and now I take 2 of these in the morning. And if I need to, I can take it every 6 hours, but taking it the one time in the morning, I'm fine. And the most awesome thing about it is me and my kids can take the exact same one. It's so natural and so dosed to the point that you can use it for your kids and for yourself. So now you don't have to buy 2 bottles of things, and it's just as effective on both of you. So
that's cool.
Now I have something that, it might cost a little bit more than what a box of Benadryl does. But at the same time, it works better. That's the point. You pay for what you get. And am I going to pay a cheaper amount for chemicals that actually don't do me any justice? Or am I going to pay a little bit for something that I know that's actually going to work the way I think the other product should?
Yeah. And that's where it's like, if we're going to have an influence and if people are going to be talking to us and stuff, like, I'm not trying to push things I don't believe in. You know what I mean? Like, when I had essential oil classes and stuff, and when I was teaching natural classes, I was working with doctors, and I work with a naturopath now, and we teach things, and I'm like, I cannot promise you these results. And the only reason that is because I 100% believe in the products, and I 100% believe in essential oils. But I also 100% believe that we are human and we have stuff going on. And like, I'm not in any way, shape, or form judging when someone says they're going to start a diet and then they don't actually diet. Like it's hard, and there's a mental component to it, and we're not discussing that. We're just focusing on, well, count these points, count these calories, do these things, walk this extra, run this place, join this gym. And it's like, none of that is the answer. It has to be mental first, because as soon as you are like mentally plugged in, like, I am ready to do this. Like, all the other stuff is going to happen with the motivation, but it's like, it's a dopamine thing. It's like, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor. I don't know if that's the right thing, but it's like a rush thing, right? Like, I'm not excited about losing the weight. I want to lose weight. I need to lose weight. My doctor said I have to lose weight. I look in the mirror and I feel like I need to lose weight. People tell me I need to lose weight and I want to punch them, but I haven't, and there's something wrong with me, and then it's my problem, and I'm bad, and I'm this, and then there's shame, and then, and what do I solve my problems with since I was like, I don't know how old? Food. So if we take the emotions out of it, if we remove the mental component from it, if we heal and we fill those holes that I talk about on another podcast about recovery, I'm like, look, we're all recovering from something. And if you have an addiction or if you have all these things and you're recovering from something, there's a hole there. There's something in the soul that's full, and I fill it with sugar sometimes. And I know a lot of alcoholics that I've talked to have said the same thing. When they quit alcohol, they go straight to sugar because it gives them the same dopamine hit. And it's like, all we need to do is just learn more, talk to more scientists, talk to more of these doctors, and actually have conversations with these people who are like, hey, you're looking at the tests. What is my brain chemistry doing when I actually eat sugar? Because I think if people actually knew what was happening, it would be a little bit easier to, not eat it. I mean, I could be wrong because did you ever watch that, what was his name? He was from England. It was like Jamie Oliver.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was a crazy experiment. The whole show was really great. If anybody listening to this has not seen any of his stuff when he came over and did experiments in I think it was West Virginia and stuff like that, and he cooked in kitchens. But the one where he made the chicken nuggets and then he did it here and he did it in the UK. And I don't know if you know what I'm referencing, but he mashed everything up.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But you know what? I ate them last week when we were out and in a rush. So that's the American way. We know what's bad for us. We know what's making us sick. We know what the problem is, and we fucking pay for it for more.
So with you talking about Jamie Oliver, whenever I was losing weight, part of what inspired me is, I can't remember this gentleman's name, but if you look it up, I'm sure you will find it. And what I'm referencing is a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dying, or Nearly Dead, one of the two. Yeah. What it's about is this guy from the UK that he's on all these prescription meds and he's working all the time and he's eating all of these bad foods and he's on these blood pressure medications and he's on this cholesterol medication and he's on this medication. This man came to the United States with a team of doctors that actually traveled around the United States by road with him. And he had this medical team with him, and he had a juicer in the back of his vehicle powered by a battery that he had. And he would stop at roadside. He would stop at roadside stands and get all these fruits and all these vegetables. And that is all that he did, was water and juices. And for, I want to say it was a month or 2 months, maybe 3 months. I don't know. It was an incredible amount of time. It awed me and it really inspired me. So I started doing it myself. And I realized that didn't work so well for me. I would do juices of all kinds of fruits and vegetables, making sure that I was adding them together the way that I should so that I was getting all the nutrients and things that I needed. And then I started realizing that my body doesn't like being on a juice diet or a liquid cleanse very well. So what I did is, after a week of doing just nothing but juice and water, and when I say juice, I mean juice that I juiced myself from all kinds of fruits and vegetables, and not just going and getting a bottle of Minute Maid and calling it good. But,
yeah, I got my OJ.
When I did that, I realized after about the 7th day that I'm starting to get hangry. My body's needing something. So I just started at, if I got hungry around lunchtime, I'd eat an apple or I'd eat a mango. Something that was natural and something that my body could easily process. Like
fuel, and then, right? Instead of I need a chocolate.
Honestly, needing chocolate's not a bad thing. There's a reason for it.
I still do.
When you actually crave chocolate, you're usually craving magnesium.
Oh, I'm so deficient in magnesium. So are everybody else on the planet. We need more.
If you look online, If you Google it, and if you look up why am I craving, usually throughout the suggestions down below, it'll bring up a list of
That's a
if you're
really good
craving
point.
this, you were actually deficient in this.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Why am I craving? That would be a fun topic. Let's talk about future topics we're going to do. That would be a really fun topic. Why am I craving this actually means you need this. Because I know it sucks when you're like, I'm craving chips, and someone's like, well, you're really craving something crunchy. Go eat some celery.
So listen, I don't always listen to those people because you want to know what? I can honestly say I've lost 130 pounds and I have not denied my urge for chips. I have not
I
denied my
know,
urge for
right?
popcorn. And I have not denied my urge for chocolate cake, even though it's gluten-free chocolate cake now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, that's
it's
a good segue. Yeah.
it's all in moderation and knowing what works. You know, I'm not going to get the Doritos every time I go. If I really want chips, I usually get an original that's, it's not the Ridges. It's just like, an off-brand of Lay's, of the
Yeah.
regular original potato chips. And then sometimes I have extra potatoes. And I'm like, you know, I don't feel like going to the store to get some chips, but I got some potatoes. I
I'm
got
gonna
an air
make some
fryer.
chips.
I got a mandolin. I've made so many things of chips that sometimes they prefer mine over the store brand ones. And I'm like, oh, okay. When did that happen?
Yes, yes. I mean, that's the thing. Like, how did I get better than the place I go to buy this from? That's what's scaring me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, when we can cook here a 4-course meal that, costs us not as much at the local store, that's local meat with local produce they bring in, and I'm buying enough for today's food. I mean, I'm lucky we have a small family, so it works out well. But like, I know a lot of people with big families can't exactly do that, and a lot of people that don't have that close can't do that. But it's like, it's so much cheaper for us to do that than it is for us to be like, all right, we're gonna go to McDonald's because it's like $15 for a McDonald's thing now. It's not cheap. I might as well eat steak at home.
I have learned a long time ago that, especially being gluten-free, that most of the time eating out just isn't worth it for me. And if I do find a place, I'm usually disappointed. And I'm like, I paid this much for this whenever I could have made this amazing salad with all of these things. And instead I just paid $12 for lettuce and tomatoes. Are you kidding me? So,
Yeah,
I don't like the letdown. I don't like the feeling like I could have made this better. So we just really don't eat out.
yeah,
And, I'm not saying that my kids don't have forms of, nuggets and things that kids normally like, but, I can get them a bag of nuggets that they're going to have several servings out of for the price that I would pay for a Happy Meal at McDonald's or at Burger King or wherever,
right. That's stale
so,
within an hour.
and then it gets to the point that maybe I'm a weirdo. But not only now are you eating something that's probably not that great for you, and now you're eating food that someone else has prepared. What kind of energy did they have going on when they made your food? Were they happy? Were they sad? Were they mad? Were they pissed off that they had to make another burger whenever it's 5 minutes before close? So now all of that energy, all of that, whatever they have going on at home, whatever they have going on right then and there, that's going into their food. And now you've got
Yeah,
someone who probably doesn't really like their job very much, serving food to people and making their food. And then these people probably don't like their jobs and their lives very much, and they eat this thing that is not in any way giving them nutrients.
yep, 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 yep,
It's
yep.
so cooked and so everything to the point that you've already cooked all of the nutrients out of it. And so now what you're doing is you're just filling a void. You're filling a hole. And when that happens, this is the
Yeah,
backside that nobody talks about. Because once you fill that void with all of these things that probably
there's
weren't so great to
consequences.
be in your system, they start to ferment and then you start to gain
Ugh.
weight. And then you get like me and go, hey, I'm going to do something about it. But nobody's talking about the moments that you feel deathly sick from losing weight. People are like, oh, that just means you're not meant to lose weight. No, that means that all of those years of eating burgers and fries and all of these ramen noodles and Doritos late at night and all of these things that, I'm not saying they're bad, but when that's all you eat, that's what you're feeding your body, and that's being stored in your fat cells. And because there's no nutrients to it, or as much as there should be, your body's storing it. And then when you start to lose weight, your body, when it goes through those fat cells, so now that's in there and it's fermented. And now your body has to reprocess it in order for it to be released. Your body is now releasing fermented toxins that have been sitting in your body for 10, 15, 20 years. You don't think you're going to get sick from it, but nobody talks about that. And I hear people saying, oh, I got so sick and I stopped the diet. That's not what happened. Your body was detoxing from all of the horrible things you had in it. And now you're giving it all these good things that it should have. And they might not taste so great until you process that out of your system, because it actually taints your palate. All of these things are extra things that your food doesn't need. And when you just eat raw foods, it actually feeds your body, feeds your mind, instead of just filling a void and sitting there fermenting.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, that whole like sitting there fermenting thing. I know we had chatted about that on a project before when we were talking about the detoxing situation, when you're trying to do like maybe a parasite cleanse or a liver cleanse, or and someone recently told me that liver cleanses are all made up and the doctors don't, like actually recommend them and all this stuff. And there's so much advice out there, but you have to trust your body. And I love that that's what you did. Like, you studied, you trusted your body, you listened to your body, and when your cells were like, nope.
And this is probably going to sound crazy to people out there, and I'm not trying to get all religious or anything like that. But I prayed. I prayed that one way or another that I would find what I was looking for. I would find what worked for me. And I prayed for guidance to figure that out. And then I suddenly start getting this need that I've never had before to listen to my body. Your body will tell you everything you need to know. But the problem is we work so much, and we have all of this going on, and we have soccer practice, and we have the kids, and then we have doctor's appointments, and we have all of these things going on, that you're not paying attention to that every day at 3 o'clock. You're getting a pinching headache that's starting at the bridge of your nose and then going behind your eyes. And you think that something's wrong and something's going on. But in reality, it's because all you've lived on since 6 o'clock that morning is caffeine and determination. And now you're starting to get a migraine because you're staring at the computer screen, or you're trying to get things cleaned up, or you're trying to drive in traffic, and you think that something's wrong with you because you keep getting this headache. But in reality, it's because all you're giving your body is caffeine to run on, and it doesn't have anything to actually feed it to keep it going. So all of these little signs, your body is telling you exactly what you need. You're just not listening to it, or you don't know how to decipher it. And this probably sounds silly, and I hear everyone say, oh, don't go to WebMD, don't Google your symptoms. But I don't. I go to Google and I type up, why do I have this? Why do I feel? And I don't go with just the first one. I research what is going on. And okay, maybe somebody knows something else, because that's how I figured out about the chocolate. And most women will actually start to PMS and crave chocolate. And a lot of men and women in general think that, oh, it's just because my body wants chocolate, it's that time of the month. That's not what it is. Whenever you menstruate, your body uses a lot of hormones, and that eats a lot of vitamins and protein out of your body. And so it is natural that your body is craving something to, on the back end of that, to feed it. And your body says, I want chocolate, but in reality, it wants magnesium. So next time you crave chocolate, try eating a really nice green leafy salad, or eating some collard greens, or
Well,
some
like,
kale chips.
that's an idea. So, like a green leafy salad, what are the greens you're using?
I like to use romaine lettuce.
Okay.
I like to use arugula. I
Mhm.
like to use anything that's not iceberg lettuce. Sorry, iceberg lettuce. I ain't
Oh,
trying to give you a bad rap.
yeah.
But iceberg lettuce literally equates to just water content. It does not have a lot of vitamins or nutrients to it. And that's what makes it a natural diuretic, is because of the mass amounts of water content in it.
Yeah.
So
That's a really good point.
if you eat the darker greens, and like another one, this is crazy. We'll get onto this on another one
I like
about
crazy.
how one of the greens that you can incorporate to get that is actually fresh young dandelion greens.
Yes. Imagine why they put Roundup on the lawns.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole that we don't have the time or the energy to go down tonight, but I'll put a pin in that one.
Here's a really good time to plug our podcast where you can listen to the backstory of all these fun things we really enjoy talking about at facetsofinspiration.tv. That's not .com, that's .tv. Because you would like to be inspired by many facets. So it's facetsofinspiration.tv. Back to you in the studio, Silent K. Hello. Oh. Well, so when we were discussing essential oils and things like that, it was really interesting that you were talking about the topic of, do you eat this or do you eat that, or can you do this or can you put it on that, or what carrier oil this or what carrier oil that. And I just, there's a big, 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 big amount of discretion when it comes to what is okay for your body. And you've been talking a lot about that this podcast, and I'm really excited to hear about a product that I found was gluten-free, but I don't know if you've tried it yet, but there is something about it. It's delicious. It's gluten-free, it's sugar-free, it's sometimes dairy-free, and it is a caramel sauce that you can put in your coffee. You can even put it on like pancakes if you're eating, pancakes. We were talking about gluten-free earlier, and there's plenty of ways that you can do the normal things that you like to eat. You just have to, mess with them a little bit. And if you're in a country that doesn't have Roundup, like we were just talking about, like you can eat what you want. You're lucky. We are not so much here. And something I found was Indulge Right. It's Indulge Right caramel sauce. And when Silent K was talking about it earlier, she said something about, I'll be doing really, really good and I'll eat this and I'll eat that and this is great and this is great. And then all of a sudden I eat, bad, or I eat this one day and I'm sick. And I was talking to the chef who created Indulge Right. His name is Chef Farouj, and he's in Fresno, and they have 100% gluten-free bakery, by the way. But he said something that I know, it's so exciting, and I'm trying to get him to open a second location in my neighborhood because it's good stuff. But it's like, so he literally said, and I was so floored when he said this. He's like, so when you eat gluten, it inflames your system. Right? So you eat, a piece of bread, and then you might eat some pasta for dinner with some bread afterwards, and you've got a lot of gluten running through your system, so it's got to digest it, it's running through there, so that's attacking like every little spot on your, your entire innards are touching all that gluten, and if you are sensitive to it, it's going to inflame, and the whole thing is going to inflame, and this is a very non-scientific discussion from our non-medical podcast. And what I loved about that was it was like, oh, that makes sense. So I'm eating, breadsticks and pizza and then, like maybe a cookie that has gluten, and then maybe I'll put, like something on an ice cream that has gluten and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I know I eat like crap, but if I'm allergic or if my body doesn't like gluten, like that's horrible. And then he said, yeah, but the kicker is like you say, okay, I'm going to do really, really good. And I'm going to eat, really, really good and cut all gluten for a week. So you cut all gluten for a week and you're feeling really good. And then you cheat. You allow yourself a cheat day. He's like, that's fine. And like I understand the mental component of that. But what you're really doing to your system is putting it right back in your colon or your, he said the science stuff. He's like, you're putting it right back in your innards, and it's just re-inflaming everything. And he said something about like it's on a 2-week cycle. So every time you cheat, you're setting your body back 2 weeks from being de-inflamed or anti-inflammatory. And it's like, so wait a minute. So I'm doing really, really good. And then I allow myself a cheat day and it sets me 2 weeks back. And then I have to do really, really good to get even like ahead. Why don't I just cut it all together? Well, because it doesn't, like she was saying, it doesn't taste good. It's difficult. And I mean, like, I don't know, this indulge rate stuff was just really, really interesting when I found it. And he made it because, like you were saying, and I'll let you talk here. He said, he's like, I went through 4 years he was a pastry chef, and I'll let you read his story. Go to indulgerate.com and read his story, everybody, because I'm telling it in paraphrase non-fashion. But like he says, I got sick, and he even had so much as like, I think he said seizures. And he had all kinds of symptoms, and they're testing him for celiac, and he's saying he's not celiac, so they weren't even looking at gluten as a symptom, as an issue. And he's like, they don't understand how horrible just sensitivity can be. Because when you're sensitive, it can affect your eyes, it can affect your colon, it can affect your everything, your skin. A lot of people, we were talking about estheticians earlier, a lot of people with skincare issues, they have a gluten issue. And that's where this gluten-free indulge rate thing with spas came up. And, hashtag plug here, but I talk to estheticians all the time. And we were talking about how they're the first, round of, hey, what are you doing in your diet? And that's because they can often tell what you're changing in your diet or your routine by what you're eating and stuff on your skin. And your skin tells. And so they are consistently saying to their clients, hey, you need to, look at your diet, like talk to your nutrition, talk to your doctor, because you should probably look into cutting gluten or sugar out of your diet. You should talk to them about that because it looks like it's reacting on your skin. I've heard from so many estheticians that's the first thing they're saying when they see an acne client specifically. So then I heard my chef say that, and I'm like, wait a minute, you have this product that you created because your body was telling you this, and now it's like a very well-known product. And my estheticians are saying this all the time. Can they stock it on their shelves? And he was like, yeah, for sure. So my marketing company created a distributorship for spas and wellness centers and chiropractors and things like that to be like, hey, I know it's odd, but here's a caramel sauce. I know I just told you to get off gluten. But, here, when you get that craving, go grab a spoon and just eat a little bit or put this on some, gluten-free toast or something, make it taste better, those types of things. Because that craving, that mental component, like you were talking about,
It is.
rough, right?
It really is. And with you saying all that, it makes me want to ask you a question. When you eat gluten, do you notice that afterwards you feel hungry, and the more you eat, you're like, I just ate. Why do I feel so hungry?
That is the golden question. And so I'm so glad that you understand the component of like, you lost a lot of weight and are different now, because it is strange to be what is considered in a thin person's body and still being able to hound down like 45,000 cookies at a time and be like, what? I could still eat dinner, and I don't understand how that can happen. And then like after so many years of that, and it's not a healthy habit. It's not healthy at all. And I realize it's probably one of those ADHD things. And the doctor says it's like trying to find dopamine in cookies, and she's right. And then, Well, and then Chips Ahoy changed their recipe. I don't know what the fuck that was about, but I'm still looking for them every time I eat a new sleeve. I'm like, well, I know it's going to taste good this time. It just doesn't, right? Like, it doesn't. But it's like an emotional eating thing. And I remember being a child, and I had a problem with eating, and I was a larger child, and people they treated me differently, and it was interesting because eating became emotional. And I remember there were times when, friends of mine were very active and very in sports, and that made me feel like, oh, I can never do that, blah, blah, blah. So then I would eat more, and I'm like, well, that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, I should be not eating, right? But then you're like, well, I'm not eating, so I'm starving, and now, I'm hungry. And like you said, as soon as I ate one after I was like doing okay, or I would eat broccoli, and I was like, yes, I did really well. Then I would eat an oatmeal pie, and all of a sudden I ate 12.
You want to know what my theory is on that?
Yes.
When you have a sensitivity to gluten, like you said, the chef told you that it causes inflammation. Whenever I get gluten, it can affect me anywhere between 3 to 5 weeks, just from one accidental, small, tiny little piece.
Mother of pearl.
And what I have realized through all of this trial and error is when I would eat gluten, like anything with flour in it. I loved fried chicken. I loved pizzas. I loved sandwiches.
Yeah.
I loved pasta. Any kind of pasta. But I started to realize whenever I would accidentally gluten myself that what was happening is when you gluten yourself, and like you said, okay, I did good. I think I'm okay. I only had one today. I'll have a little bit of one here later. Now, you don't just have a little bit of that, what causes inflammation. You continue to keep adding onto that, and it keeps swelling and swelling and swelling more to the point that you were eating foods that have no nutrients whatsoever to you, because what you're eating is actually inflaming your insides, and you keep eating it. So now everything's being pushed back out and not absorbing any of the nutrients at all because your body's too swollen.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times that I myself, and I've seen other people, that once they've realized that they have a sensitivity to gluten and they take themselves off it, in a year's time, I've seen people lose anywhere between 50 and 80 pounds in a year just from taking away gluten.
Yeah.
And I started to realize through the studying of it is that it's making your body so that it's not absorbing anything. So now you have 3 bowls full of pasta sitting on your stomach, and your stomach is uncomfortable because it feels full, but you don't feel full. You still feel hungry because your body now is starving because you keep giving it something that has absolutely no nutrient to it to you, because your body is turning it into an inflammation and it's making everything swell. So it's trying to get it out of your body as fast as it can, so it's not absorbing any nutrients. So when you have a gluten allergy and you keep adding that on there, what you're really doing is you're adding bulk to your body, because you're adding things in it that it's immediately just turning into fat cells. And then once again, once you come off of it and you process through that fat cells, you can process it and it'll start to bother you again. I went for a while. I had been off of gluten for 6 months, and all of a sudden I got sick. Like, so sick to the point I almost thought about going to the emergency room. And I started looking up symptoms of detoxifying. I don't know why. It was just a feeling I got to look up. And when your body goes through detoxing, that's what you're doing when you take away something that your body's been rejecting, is you're detoxing from that. You're getting it all out of your system, which can take weeks to do. And when you're doing that and then you start to lose weight, your fat cells open up. So now your fat cells were made out of gluten. So now 6 months to a year after being off gluten, you all of a sudden have a breakthrough where you feel like you've been gluten the worst amount of gluten you've ever had in your life. And it's all because you're processing what's going on. So your body is detoxing these things out and you're reprocessing them again. And now you have to go, okay, am I sick? And by doing things on my own, I started to realize that, I could go to a doctor, but if I explain what I'm doing, what I've got going on, he's probably going to think I'm crazy anyway. So I just started researching my own symptoms and my own things and started realizing that, hey, this is what's going on. So I learned things to help with the detoxing process, like green teas and the water with the cucumbers and the lemon in it. Just simple little ways to help yourself. And how you were talking about the indulge right caramel, that is such a perfect thing, because when you go from one eating lifestyle to another, you learn to replace some of the things that you liked. I always used to love apples and caramel sauce. But caramel sauce actually has a lot of sugar. And if you have a lot of sugar in your system, it can actually feed the yeast in your body and start to have the same reaction as having a gluten sensitivity can. And so through that, you learn what to take out and what not. And over time, I've learned things like the indulge right caramel are a perfect substitute, because I'm not adding to the sugar content of what I've got going on, but I'm still having something that's got that little bit of sweetness to it. And if you learn to find alternatives, like, I'm not going to lie, I used to love me some Oreos.
I know.
I realized that I didn't really like the way that the filling would always stick to the roof of my mouth. It almost had like a lard-like effect to me.
Yeah.
Like waxy or something, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, Reese's did that.
And when I started going gluten-free, I realized that some of the gluten-free I still don't like the gluten-free Oreos, but if you find other brands that are like a gluten-free chocolate cookie with a cream center, I'm telling you what, they taste so much better. It's more of a creamy than a waxy center, and the cookie itself has a whole better taste to it. And I went, you mean to tell me I've been eating this my whole entire life and thought nothing of it? And now I'm realizing this whole entire time that what I thought was my favorite cookie, I don't like I did. And so the gluten-free one actually tasted better the whole time. But at first it didn't. That's the detoxing of the taste buds. And over time your body becomes used to it. You just got to give it healthy options instead of Ho-Hos and Twizzlers.
Well, and you have to do it for long enough that, your Twizzlers get out of the system, right? Like, what do you think is the long enough? Like, if you've been eating for 30 years, like, absolute junk, and I did it, and I still do it, so there's no judgment here, but, like, if you've been eating, like, absolute junk, how long do you think you have to go eating really well before you're going to start feeling better? Because you're going to feel like crap for a while, either with cravings or with the detox symptoms, or, like, I remember a friend went to eat just salads after doing just fast food for so many years, and she, like, dried up because she lost all the oil she was getting from fast food, right?
Yes.
It was weird. She was like, oh, I'm like my skin.
So each thing that your body has an issue with, it depends on your body. And I went gluten-free, and I still this sounds really gross, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this out loud, but it needs to be said.
I hear you.
When we eat junk, it stores in our body. Not only does it store in your body, but it stores in your nasal cavities and in your sinuses too. And so when I lived out in California, I kept smelling this smell that smelled like cow manure. We had a dog that loved to roll in the cow manure in the field across the street. And I kept smelling. I kept chasing her around the house going, I know you got into the manure. I know it. I can smell it. And my boyfriend was telling me, he's like, I don't smell anything. Are you sure it's not you? And I'm like, I'm here to tell you what, if I'm the
You
only one
just told me I
smelling
smell
this
like
and
cow
you
manure.
can't, I'm like, what is going on? And so I wanted, once again, to find another way to detox my body. So I decided to look into going vegan. Not for everyone. I'm not saying anyone has to. I'm saying that it helped reset me. After probably about 3 weeks of going vegan, the right side of my sinuses opened up, and I had Kermit the Frog green sinus drainage coming out the right side of my nose. And I went, what is this? And as it starts to come out, it is that smell that I have been following around the house for weeks, going, what is this smell? What is going on? I'm cleaning
It was
everything,
in your
thinking there's like,
sinuses. You were understanding it, yeah.
I had all of this mucus and all of these things built up from years of consuming things that probably weren't so great for my body, years of consuming dairy, years of consuming meat. And by going vegan for as long as I did, I was able to clean out my sinuses and parts of my body that were storing toxins. If
Yeah.
somebody would have told me before I went vegan that that was a possibility and that your body does that, I would have asked them what they were on. And I would have thought that they
Right.
were absolutely insane. And now I feel like I'm the insane one by telling people this, that, your body is trying to tell you ways that you have something going on. And it is up to us to figure out what works best, whether it be going to a doctor or a naturopath or figuring things out on your own. But it takes a while. You're not just going to lose weight overnight. It took me years to lose 30 pounds. But at the same time, I was still going through those detoxes and learning more detoxes and things. And I feel like I am the book that will never be done. I will never stop trying to perfect myself.
Oh,
I
I
will never
love
stop
that.
trying to find a healthier way for me and for others to do things.
Yeah. Well, the book that will never be done, I love that so much. That's really, really good. Like, I absolutely think that's the most amazing title for, like a next chapter, a next blog, a next something on your such and such and such and so. I mean, like, it's interesting. So you were talking a lot about, like, gluten-free stuff and different things. And we've discussed so many podcast topics and things that we want to talk about. And I'm just so inspired by everything that I've seen recently. And I don't know, there's like this thing going on where I'm seeing something and I'm like, these people need to see it. And that sounds really stupid. And it sounds really dumb. And I know that people are going to laugh at me and be like, oh, you're just starting a podcast and all this stuff. I've done this for people for so long. Like, I've done this for everybody else. And I've seen all this great stuff that all these people who have these genius inside of them have taken, have taken just control. And like the Silent K, like, she is just an inspiring person. I'm going to brag on her for a minute. I don't even know if she's listening to me right now, but like, she is just the most amazing person that I've met in the terms of like so many different ways. Like, you've heard her story of taking control of her health. Like, she realized what she wanted to do and she took control of it. And like, her story is just so inspiring and she's taught me so much. And I love people like that because it inspires me to think more. And I think that thinking is important. That's a very profound statement, right? Like, thinking is very, 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 very beneficial. And if we are not thinking for ourselves, if we are not, putting words together in our brain that we're like, I hadn't thought that before. I wonder what that means. Even if you don't like it, you can be like, not really a fan of it, chunk, but you thought about it. And that's very important because we have this ability with these, things inside of our heads to take in information and decide what's good for us or not. And, just like you can scroll past something online if you don't like it, you can take information in if you don't like it, and then you can chunk it in the fuck it bucket is what I used to call it. And it was the most amazing thing because it was like, oh, I'm going to hear all this stuff. I don't remember any of it, and I don't care about any of it because it's one of those things where it's like, I just don't care about this stuff, but this stuff is important, and the stuff that we're talking about tonight is very, very interesting. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have anything that you really want to talk to us about, please drop it in the chat. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know. We're streaming on a few different platforms, and so it's like it's one of those things where, if I'm podcasting for other people, if we're producers, we do this usually for other people. So Silent K is usually silent behind the scenes, just like I am the nerd in charge behind the scenes. And we do these funny things for all these people, and now we're doing it for, our own brands. And it's one of those things where we can only monitor so many platforms at so many times because we are the people that usually do that for other people. So thank you for being here. It looks like we have more than one person on, and I am just thankful for that. And it's been a couple of minutes that we've been talking, and I could talk forever. So I really think I'm going to put a pin in the essential oil thing, and I think we should talk about that on a podcast coming up here. I don't know if you agree, but I know we have some subscription boxes coming in soon from that company that we ordered from, and I can't wait to open those. We'll do like a stupid little unboxing deal, and like chat about what we got and what we're gonna make. It's really cool though, actually. Like that subscription box, they do this thing where you order every month and they give you this box and you get all these oils and products in perfect portions to make certain things. So like one month I got it was like hair recipes, and I made this like rosemary hair thing, and they have recipe cards, and you can't mess it up, right? Like I do really, really well with this box because as much as I love oils and I've talked about it and I've done classes, I'm also very, whatever you want to call it, ADHD, and I will just put oil in my hair, and that sometimes is not the best option. I did what she did one time with, I think it was the Majestic oil from Young Living. If anybody out there who's talked about heard that, it was like cinnamon and some other really hot oils all together, and I was like, I'm going to put it on my crown chakra, and had some strange dreams for a couple weeks and didn't feel so good for a while. It was interesting, but I wouldn't suggest those things, right? When we talk about all of these things and everything we've discussed on this podcast, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Ask an expert. Read the bottle. Do your research. Just listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to what we're saying, and then be like, you know what? That might work. Nope, that's not going to work. Think for yourself. And it's just something I love about podcasts. So yeah, I think we're going to talk about essential oils if she agrees with me. You think on another podcast?
I will never say no to talking about essential oils. I'm pretty sure I talk about them in my sleep.
I know. I do too. Speaking of sleep talking, have you seen that? I'm not going to go into this tinfoil hat thing, but now that we're 2 hours in, I don't think anybody's listening anymore. Did you see that gate thing happening? And the people that actually do, like, they talk in their sleep, or some other people have some weird dreams and some stuff like that. And it's interesting how many people have that same woohoo.
You want to know what I also about that makes me curious? Is out of this that we're talking about, and all of these people that are claiming that they feel like this happened to them, I wonder how many out of those are people that are, if they're sleeping and they wake them up, they are very violent and aggressive towards people if they're woke up. And I also want to know if this group of people, if they ever have moments that they feel like they space out, or if they see red, or if they get angry and don't remember what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man, that got dark quick, and I do want to talk about that trigger deal situation, but you're right, that zone out situation that happens way more than I care to admit when I was younger. And the other day it happened when someone said something, and I was talking to someone in the chat, and I was like, now that I'm paying attention, that seems to me like I didn't just zone out. Like, that seems to me like words were spoken and my attention was diverted. And I can't unsee that, right? And that's something that we can talk about. I don't want to dive into the whole gate thing because I don't know who's listening, and I'm not going to get anybody in trouble. But, like, something we can talk about is like, if you feel something and you know it's something, why are we discounting it based on what anybody else has to say?
So when you were talking about the spacing out moments and not remembering all of it, I have a suggestion for that. Lavender with a carrier oil on your earlobes on the backside. That it actually
Yeah, that makes
helps
sense.
helps. Lavender is one of those oils that actually helps bring focus and clarity. And so if you're ever having like a weird, I don't feel like me moment, lavender is my go-to. It kind of helps whatever in my body go, okay, I feel a little bit better. And lavender also helps to deal with repressed memories as well.
Yes, and those auricular points, those are
Yes.
powerful. So what's interesting about that is like, you know me for a while. Like, back when I knew you and I was preaching about auricular points and I was preaching about how you can heal from even so much as, like SA and SRA and all kinds of other things, like, just touch this point with these oils. And I was, and I believe it, and I do believe it. I was doing it a lot on myself, and I had no clue, like, what memories were going to come out, like, 10 years later. So it's like, we have to hear from ourselves when we're hearing that this is something that you need to do, when you need to heal, when you need to, something is not right. Your body is calling out for something, whether it's gluten, like, I love this pizza, but I'm eating it all the time and I don't feel good. I love these breadsticks. I love this pasta. I love this whatever, and I'm eating it all the time and I don't feel good. Things change. Like, you change. You discover new things about you. Your cells change. Your cells do different things. And it is definitely okay to change and decide that you don't want to eat gluten anymore. Or maybe your allergies are better if you put a little lavender under your nose or peppermint, around the back of your neck or on your chest or something like that. And I don't think that that's a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think, essential oils is one of those things that when you use it, everyone around you smells it. But at the same time, I have the opinion of, if you smoke marijuana, that's a smell that everyone smells. If you drink alcohol, that's a smell that everyone smells. If you smoke cigarettes, that's a smell that everyone smells. But that is your vice, and that is what you're doing and choosing to do for whatever you've got going on. So if I'm not saying something about your alcohol, please don't say nothing about my essential oils, because in your opinion, I might smell like an old lady, but at least I'm a happy old lady over here sipping on water while you acting crazy.
I know. I love that when people get so mad at me for trying to be healthy when they're so toxic. Like, there was this woman who I had to laugh, and I hope I absolutely know that this person is not listening, but in the future, if this ever becomes popular and they're listening, I'm apologizing. But in any way, shape, or form, this person, I had to laugh. I had so much respect for this person. And they were like, I'm a diabetic, and I'm very scientist, and I'm very this, and I know all this stuff. And after a couple weeks working there, she's like, your essential oils have a sticky aroma that is just bothering me, and you have to stop using them. So, like, I don't wear perfume. I shower with, like, Lush bars that don't have anything but natural stuff in it. Like, at the time, I was as natural as you could get working in a city. And she's, like, blaming my natural oils on her problem. Meanwhile, she then takes me to a movie that night, and she's diabetic, and she's digging into a brand new case, or opening case of that, like, when you eat cookie dough and you open the thing and just eat it.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. Like, I totally respect you if you say my peppermint is strong. I will pare down. I get it. It is strong. However, you're blaming it on my sticky atoms and my science, and it's a blah product and it's a horrible thing. I just don't know that I can trust you anymore. Look at what you're doing. You know you're diabetic, and you are about to eat 33,000 calories and how many grams of sugar? For fun? While you're driving?
that in itself is a whole another can of worms. To me, diabetes is just like any other thing. It has a root cause. And once you've gotten to that cause, even if you take out what caused it, it still, the damage is already done. And you can try to heal it, but you're not healing anything if you keep putting it in your body. And I can't tell you how many times I have met diabetics who say, oh, I can't have that. I'm diabetic. But then they turn around
and eat
and
Cheetos.
they eat a piece of chocolate cake. What's it got in it? Sugar. Oh, my
Yeah.
insulin will help me with it. Look, just because you are put on insulin does not mean that it is a replacement for your shitty eating habits. It means that if you want to continue to live a longer, healthier life, you need to cut out all artificial and all natural sugars out of your diet, like fruits and different things. Your body processes that differently. But if you are diabetic and you're still indulging in these large amounts of sugar, your insulin is not making up for that. You have to stop eating that way and completely adapt a complete different diet and lifestyle and completely start going to different restaurants and eating different foods if that's what it takes. And there are sugar-free options, not just the Indultrite. There are some natural sugar-free things that are actually, and some people like and some people have controversy with agave. But part of what I started liking agave for is because agave is one of those natural sweeteners that actually your body processes differently than it does sugar. So it's not turning it into starch and carbs in your body and causing you to have problems with your insulin. And there's so much that goes behind it. There's so many doctors that say, oh, you have diabetes. Oh, you have this allergy. You have that. And then you ask them, what do I do? How do I change that? They hand you a pamphlet or they tell you to Google it. Or you Google it on your own.
So, not to one-up you, but I'm going to one-up you. Or you're living in Hawaii and they discover an allergy on someone very important to you, and you live 45 minutes from the hospital, and it's going to be difficult for this person not to come in contact with this allergy. And you're like, well, okay, thank you for getting it down today. I'm glad he's back to normal and everything's great. What do I do? And their response, well, Benadryl. So what I'm hearing from your medical community is that this situation that could happen at any time, at any situation, and we don't know what it's going to do. My only recourse is to have, or whatever the word is right now, I'm losing it. The only situation I can do is to give him Benadryl, and that's going to put him out and cause this, and it's chemicals and this. There's nothing else. I don't even care how expensive it is. You don't even have any theories. You don't have any. And I'm like, this is a milk allergy. They didn't even believe me that milk allergy was a thing. They're like, you can't be allergic to milk, so we don't even know what to tell you.
So you can be allergic to milk. And I'm actually allergic to it, but I don't show up that I'm lactose intolerant.
Well, that's the thing. They say it's a lactose thing, but he was actually allergic to something else. Yeah.
You want to know what I personally found out through my discovery of my food issues? I realized that I'm not lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
However, what I am intolerant to is the large amount of steroids that are given to cows to keep them producing. The large amounts of antibiotics that are given to them because they're in large a lot of them in one area and they trample on each other. So they're trying to keep them from getting sick. So now we have the steroids, we have the antibiotics, and then they give them hormones to keep them producing because cows are not meant to constantly produce. They're only meant to produce when they have young and when they have babies. And so for them to keep producing, they have to keep giving them these things. If I have actual organic milk, I don't have a problem with it.
Have you ever had raw milk?
Have I had what?
Have you ever had raw milk? Like accidentally bought it for your cat and then accidentally drank it, you mean?
Yes, I have.
What did you think about it? Like, did it taste different?
It did. It has a different taste than what you're used to. But when you taste something in its raw form, and it's not all of these things that are diluting it and all of these things that we're used to, at first it's going to taste different. With babies and toddlers, when they cannot consume breast milk or the mom can't produce, I read through my own discoveries that goat's milk is the next best bet for children that cannot have breast milk, because there's something about it that their stomachs process it better. But I'm going to tell you, at first, it tastes awful.
Yeah, you have to detox the other stuff.
You do. And it does have a different taste to it. Kind of like how different cheeses have different tastes to them. Different milks have different tastes to them.
Yeah, and I love, to bring this back to a comedy podcast, I absolutely love the debate among farmers and marketers about nut juice now and almond milk. I'm sorry, but nut juice in my cereal. That's going to make your Wheaties go wild.
I think when I first seen that, I seen it come across Instagram, and I was taking a drink of coffee, and I damn near spit it out, and I went, what the hell did he just, he did say nut juice. Oh, I think he's trying to have a comedy part to this. Oh, he's literally making it up. Oh, he's squeezing his bag of his nut juice. Oh my God,
I know.
Like a nut sack. Is that what he's trying to portray? Oh my God.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. There's so many layers.
Stuck. I'm like, now it's nut juice.
Yeah.
That's
it really is
what it is.
And I will drink nut juice because I dislike cow, breast milk. I don't like udder milk. There's something about it I just can't handle. If I'm in a really, really, and it hasn't happened in a long time, but if I'm in a really sad situation and I'm eating that Aldi's triple chocolate cake and I want some really cold ice milk, then that's fine. I'll drink whatever milk is available, and if almond milk is there, that's perfect. But if regular milk is the only thing that's available at that moment, I'll drink regular milk. But I will probably not finish the glass. Regular milk is hard for me to get down, and I drank it a lot as a kid, and I have friends that go through gallons and gallons and gallons a week, and they're healthy and they seem fine. I mean, they seem great. So it's a per person basis. There's no judgments. It's not like everybody has this problem. So, there's definitely different people when they talk about eat by your blood type or eat by, whatever. That's interesting.
There's actually truth to that.
Yeah.
Because I actually know people who have had a 23andMe done. I personally have not. I have my reasons. However, I do know people that have had it done. And they tell you on there per your, what you were genetically predispositioned. And it's not necessarily going on your blood type. It's going on your genetics and what is going on in there. And it also grabs family history too. And so when you get a 23andMe done, they are actually telling you, you might be predispositioned to have celiac disease.
Yeah.
You might be predispositioned to have high blood pressure. And it's because of your genetic makeup that causes that. And so I'm not saying that this is something people have to have done, but I'm saying if you have a way to genetically test yourself to see what is going on, I think that in itself is one way of taking your health into your own hands, because at that point, you are seeing something that your genetic body, your blood type, your everything that makes up you. By looking at it, they tell you that this could be something that you've got going on. And I've tried telling family members that, hey, I think that our body types do not do well with this. I have taken this out of my diet and I am doing so much better. And they look at me like I grew a unicorn horn out of the center of my forehead and like I grew wings and decided to take off in the land. I'm like, okay. And then they go and get a 23andMe and go, do you know what I found?
Right.
We are genetically, because of our genes, predispositioned to have celiac disease and to have a lactose intolerance and a this and a that. And I'm like, you needed to pay that much for a test to tell you that? And wait that many weeks to tell you that when I've been telling you that for the past 3 years and you didn't hear a word I said, but now you haven't got concrete evidence. It must be right.
Well, did they change their diet? That's the key.
Yes and no.
Yeah, see, that's where it's hard. Like the cravings, the way that we're told that you can eat what you want, the way that we're told that just junk food is just junk food. It's not that it's actually poison. You know, there's something, not to get religious or anything, but there's a visual that I really love, and if there's anybody listening and I can inspire you to look at this visual and eat healthier. I mean, there was something that I heard one time, and it was about, like, I think it was C.S. Lewis's in whatever that Narnia movie was, or in the book, or somewhere in C.S. Lewis's, written stuff. There was a situation where he was looking at a table of, treats and deliciousness and all this wonderful food, and he went to eat it, and it was like crawling with worms, and it was poison, and it was rotten, and it was covered in mold, and he was like, why? I just saw, and everywhere he looked, all the food was gross. And I think, we have this visual that those ho-hos, like we're circling back around, those ho-hos, those Oreos, those things like that, like we grew up on those. And I remember eating McDonald's Quarter Pounders like all the frickin' time. And for some reason they tasted like burgers. Like they tasted like food I would eat at home, and it was okay. And then something happened. Like I used to eat Reese cups. I used to drink Mountain Dew. Like I ate like shit. And then something happened, and all that food just started hitting differently. And it's not like I started gaining weight. Like I'm smaller now than I was when I was that age. But like there's something different in it. It tastes different. It tastes it burns. Like Reese cups burn when I eat them in my like mouth when I eat it. Not like heartburn, I'm old, but like there's something in it that just is different now. And I think people aren't willing to look at that. They're like, oh, well, I've eaten this forever. I'm just going to, indulge. But that's what's hurting us. And if we, and that brings it back to emotions too. Like we get angry with ourselves, or we get angry with other people or whatever. But anger is that age-old, like what, drinking poison and hoping it hurts the other person. Like, it's not going to do anything. You got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of the fries. You got to get rid of fries every now and then, great. If you make them yourself and you're not using shitty stuff, like, do as you do, and even if you do cheat, do as you do. But, like, you have to understand your body and not just be like, oh, the oils didn't work, or, oh, like, life sucks, or, like, don't just succumb to it. Like, it's probably the food. Take a chance on it being the food and try something different. I mean, we all come from, everyone I talk to on our podcasts and in our network that we work with is in a different income bracket. And all of us are trying to eat the same way, and it's possible. So it's not like it's a poverty thing. And it's not like it's a, I think, there's people who are just unfortunately less well off than my unfortunate self, and they are eating better than I am. It's definitely not an income thing. It's a choice thing. What are you choosing to grab?
I will admit, I am a broke bitch. I say that proudly. I am very frugal. When I make things, I even use the scraps out of them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what it is being willing to use what you have. And when you're talking about a change, that's part of what it is it's scary.
Yeah.
They call it the devil. You're used to eating this way your whole entire life. You're used to doing things this way.
Yes.
God forbid you get out of your comfort zone and say, hey, maybe I was doing bad for myself by eating this. Maybe I was doing bad for myself by consuming this. But it's taking responsibility and ownership for your own fuck ups.
Yeah.
And saying,
Yeah.
hey, I didn't know any better. I do now, and I'm going to do something about it. But then I've seen so many people say, yeah, you're right. I'm going to fix this. And then a week later, I'm like, so how's it going? Yeah, it's not. What do you
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I fell off the wagon one time, and I just stayed up. Okay, so listen. You can fall off the wagon, but you got to get back on. Just because you eat one ho-ho doesn't mean you have to eat the whole box. It means eat one and move on. Do better tomorrow. Instead of having Twizzlers, have a handful of dried cherries instead.
Right.
It's
Try
making
something
small.
different once.
But I know so many people that are so set in their ways, and they even look at my gluten-free food or my healthy food, and they literally scrunch their nose up like it's octopus on the plate, and it jumped off and tried to eat them.
Yep. Yeah. Well, they're possessed and they just have to deal with that. Exorcism of gluten is a really bad thing.
Well, like I said, there's a thing that they literally call, if you look up sulfate allergies and sulfate sensitivities.
Oh, yeah, you were
one of
right.
the
Yeah.
things you keep hearing is a sulfate demon. It's because it messes with the chemicals in your body and in your head, and it makes you angry. You can't control it. And then people think you just have anger issues, but in reality, you have food issues, and what you're putting in your body, you're poisoning yourself with.
Well, yeah. Sorry, go
So
ahead.
here's an idea. What if, as a whole, as a group, as a nation, as a community of people who want to do better, if all of us for a week's time made an effort to at least change one thing each day in our diet that we eat and decided to stick to that, or even at least try it, because they say that after 7 days your body starts to detox, and they say that after 21 days that's how long it takes to make or break a habit. So if you stop doing something for 21 days or start doing something for 21 days, you have a better chance of it becoming a habit. And so if you just do it 1 or 2 days and go, oh nope, I'll try again next week, and then try it again for a day, that's not doing you any good. You have to keep going and have to keep telling yourself, what is my best option for me? And not listen to what these commercials are telling you, not listen to what this ad in the store is telling you, and listen to what you know is best for you. Okay, could I have oatmeal for breakfast, or can I have McDonald's for breakfast? Okay,
Right.
McDonald's is fast and easy, but if I make refrigerator oats the night before, I'll already have oatmeal, and it won't be hot. It'll be cold and expanded fully and not to have a funny texture like cooked oatmeal has a tendency to do. And it doesn't have that mush consistency of it.
Right.
So
those overnight
if
oats
I
are
make
cool.
if I make refrigerator oats out of some instant oatmeal or even some old-fashioned oats, and then a little bit of oat milk or a little bit of whatever milk you decide, and a handful of some cranberries and a handful of some nuts and maybe a little bit of peanut butter or chia seeds or whatever you have that makes you feel, sounds good to you. Now you can grab that on your way out the door. Not only did you just save yourself money, but you also just gave yourself far more nutrients and vitamins and things in your body by making that small of a change.
Yeah.
It's one little thing that you can do a couple times a week. It doesn't have to be every day. All you got to do is try.
You just got to try something new. And I think that's really hard for people. I mean, not to segue into something different, but, let's talk about movies. Try something new. We were talking about, something that reminded me of the Alien movie we were talking about. Not the movie, the Alien TV show. And then there's also, another movie I want to get into this and discuss, but that's the tinfoil hat. I don't know if anybody's wearing their tinfoil hats.
I am.
Are you? Do you have yours, positioned properly?
Okay, so I'm going to repeat a quote from my much younger past. I need my aluminum num tinfoil helmet so the aliens can't come get me. That's the thing, is I would be that little weirdo that I would take the tinfoil helmet off, or I would hope that maybe the tinfoil helmet would attract them, because I'm telling you what, when I see them, I'm going to go, please, I will do whatever you need, but I beg you, please take me with you.
Yeah, they were so real. It was like it's so much, it just seems like he had such a grasp in that Resident Alien show. He had such a grasp on humanity's, like, greatness, and yet also not so greatness sometimes. And I so felt that. Like, I just want to help us all be better, but some of us are just not willing to be better.
Okay, with you saying that, it's not the Resident Alien related. However, have you ever seen a series called The 100?
That's where they, like, drop them off on a planet, and they're the first 100 of the species or something there. Okay, I didn't watch it.
I'm going to forewarn anyone out there listening, spoiler alerts. If you have not watched The 100 and you want to, you might want to fast forward or turn the volume down for a little bit, because I'm going to give some spoiler alerts here. But the reason that I really like that show is it's not just them dropping off 100 teenagers and people onto the earth to see if it is inhabitable again. There's so many seasons and episodes and all these horrible, horrendous things that keep happening no matter how hard they try to be better. And they come across this person who has been taking people because he's trying to get the key. He's trying to get the answer to be able to access the last final test. It is a test for humanity. The person who enters this is the person who gets to a test for humanity. And because he killed a little girl to get the information to get there, the girl who was taking care of the little girl comes in and shoots him in the middle of the test, and they base it on her. And she leaves, and they pretty much tell her that you're not worthy. And she says, can you judge everyone else not based on me? She says, look at them. They're all fighting right now, one war right after another. They're about to kill each other over what? It is the fight of humanity. You guys always try to get it right, and you never succeed. And this whole show that is pretty much them saying about how, they keep trying to be better, but are they really? And I felt that to my core, because I want so many good things for the earth and for people and for humanity. But then I see some of these mean, hateful, negative things that people do, and I'm like, now what in the Samhala would possess you to do something like that? If you were wanting to be a better person, and you were wanting to better your family and your kids and the people around you, was that really the choice of action to take? And sometimes it's very frustrating, because I would help everyone if I could. But, I had to learn a long time ago that you have to, one, help yourself. That, I was told a long time ago not to get into religion again, but, God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point that, I have to be willing to do something for myself. No one's going to come save me. No one's going to wave a magical wand. Nobody's going to bibbity-boppity-boo my ass. There's no knight in shining armor. He's probably stuck up somewhere, stuck in a freaking tree with his damn tinfoil helmet. If I want to get better and I want to be better for my children and be a better person than I was the day before and try to, I don't know, better myself for my own benefit. And if I'm not willing to do that for me, then why do I expect that somebody else is going to be able to do it for me?
Yeah. That is a really good point. Why do you expect somebody else to do it for you? Because that kind of puts the blame. Like, if somebody else will do it for me, I don't have to do the hard work, which is the same as like pharmakeia and I'll just take this pill. It doesn't always, it doesn't always just work like that, right? Like sometimes there's a lot more layers to why you have to get better. And I don't know if it was for you, but when I lost weight, it was because I chose to do things differently, and they weren't healthy ways. I chose to do them differently. So, when that's another thing too, like shaming and body shaming and stuff goes both ways. I think people don't talk a lot about it when you get a lot of comments on how good you look now when you're unhealthy, actually, because you're not eating, or you're not eating the right things, or you're doing things so that you can stay skinny. Like, that's very, very disturbing when people will not compliment you, not talk to you, not hold doors for you, not say hi to you, not, all kinds of different things, not smile at you, not smack your ass.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, are you there? Well, anyway, tell me when you're back. But I think it's one of those interesting things about humanity, where like they don't see that when you lose the weight and you end up
you still there?
Yep. Yep, I'm here. Are you here? Well, she'll be coming back. I can hear her. She can't hear me. But I think there's something to that, like when you get skinny, you've got to definitely, still understand that the person is still the same person they were before. So it's, her Bluetooth died. She'll come back in just a second. Let me know if you got to go. We've been chatting here forever. So, I mean, when you lose weight and then you end up, being something that people are like, hey, like here's some attention, and they didn't give it to you before. She mentioned before where like someone had not, remembered that it was her. I had that happen to me too, because, like I was in school with this person for a very long time. We were in many classes together. And then I came back from college and they were like, yeah, you started here in like 10th grade? And I love this person. This person was a great person. We're friends. Like, I totally respect this person and everything. But, like, why did you not remember me in 4th grade together, 5th grade together? Like, all of those things. Like, I know that a lot of people don't have memories, and that's totally fine. And we weren't friends. But, like, I remember you being there peripherally. So it's interesting when, a weight situation, and that's the only thing I'm going to test it to. But, like, I was pretty when he met me again, and I wasn't when he met me before, and so it was just one of those things. So I don't know, like I think there's something to being, just kind to people, whether you notice they've lost weight or not, right? I mean, am I right there? Can you hear me? Try and talk. I think we had you muted, but I think you're unmuted. Try and talk. No. Maybe you might have to come back in and go out. It's unmuted. It's not muted. There's definitely not. Well, we did really, really well for a 3-hour podcast without a glitch, and we've been glitching. If y'all were here earlier, we were trying to get on this thing. We were trying to jump. If you caught our introduction, I had said we were trying to test out our internet and seeing if this works when I have guests and stuff, and we'd been glitching, so I didn't think it was going to happen, and here we are 3 hours later, so this is our first glitch. I think it's okay. It looks like it's not, I'm going to tell her to come back in. She can't hear me. So it looks like it's just not working on her end, and this is our first glitch, so that's good. We've had some really good chats. We've been talking about essential oils. We've been talking about gluten-free diets. We've been talking about our own lives and how, if you were here earlier, you heard about how we were discussing like changing our diet just a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there made drastic changes when we've been trying to find changes in many different places for a long time. And this is just a quick chat. This is a Let's Hash It Out. This is a series that we do on our TV channel. We've kept it private for a while, and we've done some of these chats for different industries and just kind of kept them there. But we're doing a little bit more to the public now. We have a little bit more public-focused sponsors. We have a little bit more public-focused reasons to be chatting, and we're just really, really excited to be here. And it looks like we have more than 1 or 2 people on. And if you're like here right now and our numbers aren't lying to us, thank you for being here, because it's interesting to talk about life and to talk about stuff and to talk about, different things that worked for us and worked for other people and hear it from somebody else's perspective. I know, I think she's back with us here. Let's just do a little check. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yay! Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right, so we are back. But yeah, I was just chatting a little bit about how I think, we all have to talk our stories and tell our things and talk about what worked for us, because if we do not actually tell what did work and our miracles and our things and our stuff, and we're not giving advice, we're not saying go do this, we're just saying, like, if you're not finding answers, this is something you could Google. And I found that's to lead into something different. Let's talk about Google. Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about SEO. But if I don't know what I'm trying to Google, like if my body is saying, like this isn't feeling right, if my brain fog or whatever, I don't know what I'm supposed to Google. So I'll just Google whatever I can think about, and I'll tell the doctor whatever I can describe it as. But if I don't describe it right, or if I don't type it in right, maybe the search results aren't going to provide me what actually is going wrong. So you can't just trust our advice. You can't just trust Google. You can't just trust a doctor you saw for 5 minutes who hasn't actually looked at your chart. As educated as they are, you have to trust, plethora of different areas and things and resources and yourself, and take a look at yourself. And she was talking about this earlier. When you start to go gluten-free, or you start to go vegan, or you change a diet, even if you eat meat and even if you eat junk food, when you start to change anything, it's going to take a while to change your taste buds. I think it's 7 to 14 days or something like that, or maybe it's a little sooner, but your taste buds are going to change, but they're going to take a while. And it's going to take a while to get it out of the mental capacity. It's going to take a while for your brain to be like, hey, I really know you liked Oreos, but that Oreo isn't tasting the same as it did before. So maybe you'll eat one Oreo now, and you might eat, a couple of the gluten-free ones later, because those taste really good to you. Mm-hmm. And that's going to shock you. And when that shocks you, that's your moment where you're like, things have changed. So it takes a while. There's a hump. There's a, and that's where I'm not trying to push anything at all. But this indulgence stuff, literally the first week of it, I was trying to get off sugar for a project, or not a project, but a health thing I had going on. And I had to quit sugar, and I had to do some certain things. And I'm okay with not eating anything, and I can eat any diet at any time. But as soon as you tell me I can't do something, that's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was awful. It was like, hey, you need to get off sugar for this week. And I'm like, okay. So that's all I'm craving now. And I was literally getting, like she was talking about earlier, I was getting mean and angry and frustrated and all these things. And Chef was like, hey, take a spoonful. And anytime you get that craving, just nibble on the spoonful. There's a lot of fiber in it, so don't eat the whole jar, but just, nibble a spoonful when you get that craving, because the ingredients in it are made to do that. They're made to curb cravings. So it curbed my sweet tooth. It tasted really delicious. I was eating it on, I wasn't going gluten-free. I was just going sugar-free. So I ate, it on, instead of putting a cinnamon butter that I used to use on something, I put that instead. And so I just made those small changes, right? And that really, it really helped. Like that week went by so much quicker once I started doing that. I had talked to him about it like almost halfway through. But I will tell you, I overindulged. I don't know if any of you have ever eaten too much fiber, but
yes.
I mean, if you're like, so let's talk about weight loss, right? Like, so if you want to lose some weight, you can eat some chocolate sauce. Get it at indulgerite.com. I'm not saying it's, /spas, but like, I'm not saying that's what it's for, but there is a very healthy amount of, what is it? I'm tired. I think it's soluble fiber. There's a really good amount of fiber in it, and it's the healthy source, and it's from the healthy places. And what's interesting about it is, like, this is a topic. You were talking about something earlier, like with your smelly, snot stuff. And I love stuff like that, because let's talk about poop. Like, let's talk about shit. Like, do people poop regularly? Do you go to the bathroom regularly? Like, if you go to the bathroom regularly, I dare you to share this podcast on your feed right now, wherever you're listening, because I want to know who you are, because there's not many people who do. And most people are very, 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 like, private about the fact that they dislike going to the bathroom, they dislike going poop, and they dislike it so much that they hold back, or they don't, or they make sure that they eat certain foods so that they don't have to go. And I don't know. I mean, I was floored when I heard that there was people like that, because I'm pretty sure that's why we were made to expel the toxins that are in our body. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong at all.
So if we had something that tasted like chocolate that you could eat instead of like Metamucil or just holding your shit, don't you think that might be something fun to try?
I think it would be too. It's actually a really good idea, because I'm going to take the whole shit conversation one further.
Yeah.
And I am probably going to be labeled as a weirdo, but yes, I let my freak flag fly. Thank you.
Well, hey, I like flags.
I have realized through my journeys of losing weight and detoxing and trying to become healthier that when you poop, there is a lot behind the science of poop. The color, the consistency, the stink to it, all of it has to play with your health. And if any of those things I'm not saying you have to poop the same way every time you do. I'm saying, though, that when you start to notice a drastic difference, like suddenly you're shitting green and going, okay, I know I didn't have any green beer at the bar last night, and I'm knowing that I didn't eat
a
blue
leprechaun
frosting, and I didn't drink any blue or green Kool-Aid. Why am I shitting green?
Right.
Because you have a higher amount of vitamins in your system, and because you have probably ate more things in your diet that have more chlorophyll in them, which is one of the many things that can make your shit green. But, if you don't know these things, and of course, I'm the weirdo. I'm the one who discovers what this smell and what this color means. But to me, I'm like, you have these medical problems going on. What do you poop like?
Yeah.
What did you just ask me?
Yeah.
When you shit, what's it look like? And people have this look about you like, why the hell are you asking me how I shit? Because how you shit actually says a lot about your medical health, which is also why if you are under of a certain age and you actually have a good health repertoire about yourself, you can actually join a study where they will pay you to send in bags of your poop, and they analyze your poop so that way they can determine medical conditions and things just from the feces itself.
Well, there you have it. We have just discovered the next episode of Be Inspired to Make Money. It's going to be Sell Your Poop.
Hey.
There you go. That's ridiculous and interesting, and I do believe you. I 100% agree with you that the answers are there. The answers are really there because what you eat, what you drink, what you're around and stuff is in your body, and your body's like, I'm going to take some of this, and I'm going to take some of this, and I'm going to get rid of this.
It's back to that whole, your body is a temple. If you put crap in, you're going to get crap back out. But not the good kind.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, so comedy podcast discussions circle about here. Two things, and then I got to wrap this up. So just to wrap it from poop into comedy, let's try and do that segue. How's that? Let's keep me on track here. So when I was in college, we had a roommate who randomly one day put a piece of paper, like laminated or something, on the back of the dormitory. Like, we shared a dorm with so many kids, but it wasn't like everybody. It was kind of private. So there was like a lot of us, but not a whole lot of us. And she put this piece of paper on the back of the door with how's the poopy or something like that, or like, what's your poop look like or something. I don't remember what it was, but she had all these different pictures of different shapes of different types of poop and different labels for them that were hilarious. Like, oops, a poopy when you didn't realize you had to go and you just sat down to go pee and boop, there you go. Like, it was hilarious. And she had these weird names. And then she had this like pen thing attached to it and a bottle of sanitizer attached to that. And she was like, just label your poops. And I don't know if this person was doing a study. I don't know if she was like writing a paper. I have no idea why this happened, but it was a little bit later in the whole discovery that I found this happened, and they had already started writing and labeling stuff and like writing and circling and leaving notes and descriptions. And I'm sitting here like, all that's cool and funny. And I'm like, we're not washing our hands before we're using this pen, and everybody is. And I'm not going to participate. But I think it was a cool experiment, right? Like, it was definitely an interesting thing, but it definitely created a whole lot of comedy, right? Like, I thought about doing that now, like putting that on a t-shirt, right? Like, what should your poop look like? I don't know. I might wear that. I don't know if I would wear that or not, but it would bring some comedy, right? It would bring some comedy. So when we talk about comedy, I want to go into one little quick thing, and then I'm gonna jump off. But this deserves its own podcast too. So I'm going to write a little note that we need to chat about movies. I don't know if you agree with me, but I would like to talk about some movies. And have you seen the movie? And I hate to say this word, but we're almost wrapping this up, so if they deplatform us, whatever. Have you seen the movie called The Insurrection?
No.
No, you haven't? Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
So there's a man in it that went to school in Flint, or Fenton, or somewhere around Ohio, or I'm sorry, Michigan, right? Like somewhere down there. So that's why it was recommended to me, like many, many, many moons ago. Like, I think it was recommended to me in like 2019, I think, is when I was told to watch it. And I think I watched it like early 2020, but it had already come out, right? Like, it was on Amazon. And so me being an SEO person and then seeing what happened, on the J6 event and stuff, I was like, that's really strange. And then I watched the movie, and there was so much stuff in the movie. I'm not even going to talk about what was in the movie. That's not what this is about. It was just, whoa, this movie is like, I'm confused. This is not what I was expecting. It seems really true. There's a whole lot of strange stuff. It's very weird. And so I started asking people to watch it. And I was like, hey, have you ever seen this movie? And they were like, no, let me try it. And they got like 10 minutes in, and they were like, nope, not going to do it. Why? Well, it's just stupid. Okay, yeah, there were a lot of, whatever, gun, pew-pew scenes, whatever. There was a whole lot of those things that were really stupid. But, like, the storyline, like, even the opening credits, like, what'd you think? They were like, nah, it was dumb. And I was just so floored, because this movie really hit me in a weird way. I was like, huh. And nobody would take it seriously. So wrapping that up, that was in, 2020, I said, or something? And I don't know what year we're in now, but it's way past that. And so I'm on this podcast, and I was chatting like on, Twitter and stuff with different people and different podcasters and all kinds of stuff. And I left this comment on this funny podcast that I listened to. Shout out to Mackie Rat Podcast. And I think it's like Mackie Rat House on Twitter or something. But they literally say in their podcast they're like, hey, so only podcasters follow us and nobody tweets at us, blah, blah, blah. And I tweeted at them. I was like, hey, I listen to you. I think you're all funny. Here's a tweet. And so they commented back and called me their only fan. And I just thought that was the absolutely most hilarious thing I have ever heard in my life, because if you know me, I'm an anti-only fan. But it was absolutely hilarious. And so what was the funniest thing ever is I went and I said, hey, challenge, if you watch this movie and talk about it, I'll cover you on the podcast. And not only did they talk about it, they talked about it. One of the guys watched it for like 10 minutes and then talked about it for like 30 minutes on that podcast because it was interesting to him. And he made fun of it, and I get it, and it's jokes, and it was a dumb movie. But then, then they actually watched it. And the movie is pretty short, but it's not super short. It's a real movie. But they talked for like an hour and a half. It was the most hilarious podcast I've ever heard in my life. So if you've got a minute, if you're, still sitting here and we're getting ready to sign off here and you want to jump over, go. I'm going to tag it below here, but go jump over to Mackie Rat House. I think it's Mackie Rat Podcast on Spotify, something like that. Just look that up and you'll find it. It's like a red and black logo and stuff. And listen to the latest episode. I think it's like 92. And it's called Insurrection, or it's talking about like the insurrection. And I swear it's not political. They are not talking about politics. It's about this movie that came out before any of that was a thing. And that's what I find is so interesting, because some of the stuff that was in the movie was so interesting. And then that situation was named what it was. And it was a very interesting name for that situation that it was. And it suppressed this movie nobody I've ever heard of has ever heard of it at all. So I challenge you, if you are listening, go to Amazon and at least Google search it and see what I'm talking about. It's The Insurrection. It was, I think the director is Rene Perez. It was just such an interesting movie, so interesting. And I want to know who they like modeled the main character after. It was hilarious. But so sometime, Silent K, I'd love to show you the Mackie Rat podcast shout out he did, where they chatted about how I was so awesome and their only fan, because you'll get a kick out of it too. But do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up out of here?
Not that I can think of, except for the fact, if you take anything that we have said tonight, take anything away from it, do me a favor. Read your labels before you do anything.
Yes, I'm going to put that on screen. We are saying we are not experts. We are telling our stories. That's what we do. We tell our story. So we help you tell your story. She's 100% right. If you're going to, discover that your story changes here, and you're going to find a different way to eat, to find a different way to, be, think, breathe, smell, whatever it is that you're doing that's not making you happy and healthy, and you're going to change it, then your story starts here and it continues. And this is a place you can chat about it. Feel free to reach out to us. I'll pop our email back up on screen. We're going to jump off here. Thank you so much, the Silent K on X, for joining me. You can follow her over there. She's launching a new brand. I'll let her talk about it, but it's, she can talk about it next time on the next podcast. But follow her, give her a little shout out, and give her a little, thanks for all of her tips and advice. And if you found anything interesting today, feel free to give her a little message over there. Tweet at her, as Mackie Rat Podcast says, because they're hilarious to me. So yeah, Silent K, well, you got anything else? I'm gonna hop off here.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. Hope you all have a good night.
You too. Peace out. Bye.
Hey there, Sweet Tooth listeners. Ever dreamt of a caramel sauce so divine you want to write sonnets about it? Introducing Dull Drake Caramel Sauce. The caramel miracle that's just flipping the script on indulgence.
This isn't your grandma's caramel. It's the kind that makes you go, why did I ever worry about indulging? Perfect for pancakes, waffles, or even a cheeky drizzle on your fruit salad.
And the best part is, it actually tastes good. So good, you'll forget it's guilt-free.
So why settle for less when you can have the best of both worlds? With Indulge Right, you're not just choosing the healthier option, you're choosing happiness in a bottle.
Don't wait to elevate your dessert game. Grab a jar of Indulge Right caramel sauce today and turn every bite into a celebration. Because life's too short for boring caramel.
Visit indulgeright.com for purchasing and stocking options.